is a lifestyle. Sports cards and we live now. Jeremy Lee in the building and every guest that you ever needed. Sports cards after hours keep the hobby heated. Updates, hobby talk like you never seen it. Sports cards live and none could ever beat it. Sports cards is a lifestyle. Sports cards and we live now. Welcome to another episode of Sports Cards Live with your host, Jeremy Lee.
What is up, everybody? Welcome to episode number 306 of Sports Cards Live. It is March the 21st, 2026. My name is Jeremy Lee, and a few quick announcements before we get into this. First of all, I am glad to be back here in this studio, but we'll get more on that shortly. First of all, a couple of sponsor partner announcements. Leighton Sheldon, Just Collect, not joining us tonight, but check out Leighton at justcollect.com if you would like to work with him on selling a collection. Guys, Mint Inc. delivers the ultimate hobby experience. Live whatnot streams, auctions, grading breaks, 2 full retail stores in the greater Toronto area. They do it all. They're buying collections. Click in the link in the description below. Use promo code SCL5 for 5% off your first purchase. Shop online anytime with worldwide shipping. Mint Inc., where collecting comes to life. And I want to thank everybody who joined us here on the channel last Monday for From the Front Row with the Front Row Card Show founder, Dan Bliss. Last Monday, we had Bob Watson of Flyball Zone on the show. He was an amazing guest. On Monday, we will be announcing the winners of the pairs of VIP tickets to the Atlanta show on Instagram that is happening March 28th, 29th. And just 2 weeks later is their Seattle Tacoma show, 480 tables, April 11th to 12th. Visit frontrowcardshow.com for more show dates and locations. Guys, Mr. Minty, grading is expensive, ties up your time, money, and assets. Get it right with Mr. Minty, offering a full line of 100% substance-free pre-grading supplies, grade preparation and evaluation services, concierge drop-off and pickup services for PSA and Beckett submissions, all designed to help collectors save time and money from the expensive grading process. And you can meet Mr. Minty in person at the London show, April 17th to 19th. For more information, go to mrminty.com and you can save 25% using promo code SCL25. Happy collecting and keep it minty. And guys, check out Chronosio. They are the AI-powered collection assistant that allows boxes of cards to be scanned, documented, and listed for sale online in just minutes. It works with sports cards, TCG cards, slabs, and raw cardboard. There's 2 bundles available on Walmart.com, eBay, and Amazon, as well as some hobby stores as well. The Pro Bundle comes with the software, a Ricoh 8170 stack feeder scanner, shipping supplies, which is perfect for someone who has thousands of raw cards, unlimited inventory management, 3,600 monthly AI card documentation job and management for 3,600 eBay listings. And the smaller bundle is similar, but has a Canon flatbed scanner, is best for slabs as well as people with hundreds of raw cards. Also unlimited inventory management, 1,200 monthly AI card documentation jobs, and management of 1,200 eBay listings. You can get the Chronosio cards to cash bundles that not only include the scanner, but they also include software supplies, but also a 1-hour, one-on-one enablement session at the time of your choosing. Simply visit chronosio.com/booking. This is a huge part of value. And not only does Chronosio work with you to get up and running, but they are always there to help people manage their cards and sell them online. Whether you're a collector or a hobby store looking to expand your business, go to chronosio.com to learn more. And of course, visit collectorinvestorauctions.com to register and bid for their upcoming monthly auctions. And founder Jeremy Donson, the Texas Snowman, will be joining us on the show here very shortly. All right. Don't forget, this show is available on Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. Follow for free. And if you're enjoying the content, please leave a rating or review. It really does help. A huge thanks to all of our loyal viewers and listeners. If you haven't already, please take a moment and subscribe to the podcast or the YouTube channel. And as always, your comments and your questions are in play. Now, let's get to it and let's bring on tonight's opening co-host, Mr. David Chase. Hey, what's up, buddy?
What's going on, Jeremy? Good to see you back from New York.
Back from New York, buddy. Got back in yesterday late. It is good to be here with you. Joe Poirot will be joining us at the halfway mark. We've also got Chris McGill making his triumphant return. Josh Adams will be joining us back here as well tonight. And again, Jeremy Donson, the Texas Snowman from CIA Auctions, will be joining us too. We've got some fun topics tonight. Yes, David Chase, back from New York City.
Tell me about it. What happened?
Well, so, I flew to New York on Wednesday, flew home on Friday. It was a very, very quick trip. Adam Gray, the Real 27 guy who co-hosts with me one Thursday a month, the Fanatics Collect Premier Auction Ending Watch Party, was there as well. And they brought in Joe Davis, the voice of the LA Dodgers. He also was the main announcer for the World Series, the All-Star Game. And he joined us in the studio for about an hour, which was kind of cool. The guy's got a great radio voice. He's super humble and just a nice guy overall. He was just a pleasure to have in the studio with us and be a part of the show. Did you catch that? Did you see him on the show?
I did. I saw him. Was he opening a pack? I think I saw him, and then signing the box. I think I saw him do.
Yeah.
It was really cool just to see somebody that isn't so far entrenched in the hobby, but you can kind of see him dipping his toe in. I think he said that he has been collecting with his kids, right?
Yeah, his 7-year-old. He had mentioned. Yeah, the premier auction show, which Adam and I have done now 57 months in a row, was different because there was that opening packs element. Because Fanatics Collect, they brought us into New York to do the show because they had some big cards that they were very excited about. Predominantly the dual gold MVP MLB logo man 1 of 1 of Aaron Judge and Shohei Ohtani. And of course, with Ohtani being on the Dodgers and Joe Davis, the voice of the Dodgers, and Adam and I who do the show, we were all brought together. And Fanatics, they wanted to, I think they want to add more content to their Fanatics Live platform. Commentary sort of content as well. So they wanted to introduce us to that audience, and so they wanted to do a bunch of giveaways. I think there was over $10,000 worth of giveaways. So it was a bit different in that there were periods where Hunter, who was from Fanatics, in the room with us, along with Joe Davis, myself, and Adam, we opened some packs of ultra modern product, which we never really do. So it was kind of neat to see some of this stuff out of the pack for the first time. In a long time. I haven't opened packs like that in forever. So it was kind of neat to see new product and some nice autographs coming out and that kind of thing. But it was definitely different. I think the audience who is loyal to that show and watches it might have been wondering, hey, what's going on here? This is a bit different. But yeah, it was different. And it's not going to happen every month now. I don't think. We'll probably go back again at some point, but we'll go back to the normal course of show here next month for the April premiere. But did you catch? Yeah, you saw some of the packs being opened.
I did. So you were opening crazy packs too. I mean, they were like the kind of packs that have 3 autographs in every pack kind of situation. They were those high end packs that I have no idea about, but they looked very shiny and very cool. But I want to know, nobody gets to go to these Fanatics offices like you, right? I expected to have Oompa Loompas in the background and a card waterfall. Okay. Give me the dirt. What does it look like inside the Fanatics?
Yeah. So, it was, it's a nice office right in New York City, it was a 10-minute walk from the hotel, and you walk in and right away you can tell you're in Fanatics. There's all sorts of big murals on the walls on the reception floor. And then there's elevators to the various floors that they have. They don't have every floor in the building. I think they have 3 or 4 of the floors. And I went on floors 3, 4, and 8. And I don't think they have, there are some in the middle that are just not theirs. They belong to another business. I think it's PayPal actually that is in that building too. And so yeah, floor 3 was where I did see the Fanatics Collect team there. I wasn't talking to everybody, I was talking to my main contacts there because I went in earlier in the day to understand how to control the show. We use StreamYard here. We've been using StreamYard for 6 years. They used OBS. I've never used it before. So I had to get comfortable with the environment of running the show. And so I did. When I left Fanatics at about 5 or 5:30, went back to the hotel, had dinner with Adam, and then we went back and did the show. And walking back, that's when I was very comfortable that I was going to be able to do the show, because I wasn't nervous about doing the show. I was nervous about what's my mouse going to be doing? What are my hands going to be doing? How am I going to, we couldn't bring the comments from YouTube onto the screen. That was one limitation that was a sacrifice, but you do what you got to do. And I think we pulled it off pretty well. All right. I felt good about my role, at least in running the show. But yeah, through some of the other floors there, there are framed uncut sheets of all sorts of different things. A lot of like vintage stuff. I didn't see anything really modern, but older things that I think like relics that not relics as in cut up memorabilia. I mean, uncut sheet relics in frames on the walls. It
like
was
what? Give me like something that blew your mind. What was the coolest thing?
The wacky packs. The old wacky packs. Yeah. As we were leaving, I said, hey guys, if you don't mind, just package that up and ship it home to me. If you don't mind. Yeah, but there's a wall of basketballs. There's a wall of baseballs. There's a wall of hockey pucks, footballs. It's a well-decorated office. It looked to me to be a really relaxing sort of fun place to be if you're an employee there. Lots of areas just to, eat lunch, I guess, sort of thing, and some snacks. And yeah, it was a nice office. I could definitely see that people would enjoy working in that environment. It was a warm environment. I'll put it to you that way. It just seemed like a nice place to be. So
cool.
Yeah. Hope to get to go back at some point sometime. We'll see how that goes. But I think they were happy with it. And so yeah, we'll see what happens. So, but during the day, Adam and I, we went to the Jackie Robinson Museum, and that was really cool. Adam shared some content from there, and he collaborated with me on Instagram. Saw a PSA 9 48 leaf card. It's a PSA 7, and then we found out one of those was a PSA 9. We then found out one of them had been cracked out in the comments in Adam's post, and so there's maybe only a population of 6 of the PSA 9s that exist. And I think I said in the
did it look like a 9? Did it look like a 9 to you?
No, it didn't. No, but it's a 9, it's a 9, and it's in the museum. It's not going to come for sale, I don't think, for quite some time, decades, if not centuries, sort of thing. But that was pretty cool. I think in the reel, I was kind of on the spot. I said, this is $1 million card. I think it's more like probably a lot more than that, like 4 or 5.
I think there's only been one PSA 9 that has ever sold publicly.
Yeah,
when I was doing that research for my Jackie,
right? Yeah,
I think that was like in 2015, as literally the only 9.
Yeah. Well, you would know for sure. So we're in the gift shop after we were doing that, and we had their media guy kind of show us around a little bit, and then we're in the gift shop looking at hats and t-shirts. And as we're at the counter and Adam's buying a t-shirt, I see a 51 Bowman Campanella in this little display cabinet. And I'm like, what is this? And I say to the lady, I go, what are these? She goes, oh, these are like, packs where you don't know what you're going to get. So they're mystery packs at the. So I bought my first mystery pack, guys. I bought a mystery pack. They come packaged like this: the Chase, Celebrate a Legacy, Discover a Legend. I've opened it. I opened it there in the store. Both Adam and the lady said, oh, come on, open it. So I did. I tried to trade her so I said, well, what the Campanella? She goes, that's actually mine. And I just, I bought it. She goes, I put it here just so people can see what they might be able to get. So I'll show you guys what I got in my pack. It comes like this. You have the little 42 Jackie Robinson Museum insert here. And we did a very slow reveal, but I won't do it so slow for you guys. It's a 71 Topps Ernie Banks in an SGC4 holder. It's got, you guys can kind of probably see that top corner there. It's got that kind of bend in it. So I don't know. But anyway, not a card that I don't know if I'm going to keep it or not. We might trade it away or, move it and put it towards a card that is more for me. But the CGC slab is a very nice slab. The card looks really good in here, actually. Speaking of slabs and looking good, I was watching earlier today Brian, High Pop Professor's video where he revealed his new Mag Pro labels. And did you see that at all? Where
I didn't see that.
He's designing his own labels now, putting them on these Mag Pros that has a slot for the labels. And then at the end, he was doing an experiment where he actually he puts his own label on top on a PSA slab, like that covers the PSA label itself, because he likes the way it looks better. And I hear him, like and he was talking about how, you can put whatever information you want on this thing. And I want to know pack odds and all these things. And so shout out to Brian, High Pop Professor. He's Iconic Al's brother. Nice little video from him today. A short one too, maybe only 12 minutes long or something like that. So
I've seen the President Mangini do that kind of thing. And Dylan Double D, I think, also puts on his own labels and puts his own stats on there and everything. I think it's super cool. And I like them better than the PSA labels anyway. So good job with doing that.
Well, so I watched a Mangini video today also. And in that video, as I see him showing off a bunch of cards, and he's got his Mangini label that is covering whatever the grade label is, the grading company label. He doesn't care, and I love that. I like, and just look at what you want to look at, it's great. And then on a somber note, I don't know who this fellow hobbyist in our community was. I don't know that I ever met him. I might have, but not someone I'm really familiar with. I think his name, the gentleman who passed away, I think that Reverend Steve, I think was his name. And again, not someone who I knew, but my condolences to the community, to him, his family. It's never fun for us to lose a fellow collector. We have this cardboard craze in common, and it does bring us together in the community. So just want to share my condolences to the community and to his family, and for that loss. Never a fun thing, but wanted to say that. So it was a whirlwind trip to New York and back, and that's about all I have to say about that. But we got a bunch of comments that have come through in the chat, David. So why don't I'm going to go ahead and run through a bunch of those, see what you guys are saying in there. Jeremy Donson, the Texas Snowman, is in the back room. We'll bring him out at about 30 minutes after the hour. But I want to say hello to Kevin Hawthorne. We got Jesse, 00 Cards Guy, Bill Betts. Hello, Laura. Good evening to you. The professor is here. Good evening, Professor Stukes. What's going on? Chris C. Situational Adventures. Good to see you. E105. Good evening. James Wynn said, "Thou shall speak of value," right? Yeah, we'll talk about talking about value a little bit later on. Brown Coin, what's happening? Larry Gitlin. Good to see you. Jacob Dahl, Peacemaker, the Grail Chase. Ola to you. Outlaws is here. Gold Hour. Oh, the Habs one. Good to see. Mike Double V. What's going on? Hey, I was just talking about you, High Pop Professor. Stacked 5. Good evening. Yeah, that was a quick trip to New York City. Mike Double V. Thank you. Great. It was a great evening, Double V. What up? Welcome home. Thank you. Ben Burrows is here. Ken Wood. Jeremy, congrats on your New York trip. I finally finished watching the marathon earlier today. I'm preparing for a show tomorrow here in Ohio. Good luck with your show. Yeah, we did 6.5 hours that night. We didn't leave. We didn't finish until 2:30 a.m. New York time or so. And at the end, Hunter, it was Hunter or Matt, one of the guys from Fanatics, ordered some cheeseburgers for us at 2:30 in the morning. And we had because we were hungry. So it was one of the most delicious cheeseburgers I'd ever had at the Fanatics.
Did you have a break? Did you have a break during that time?
I had to leave a couple times to, nature calls, but they were great. We had a producer in the control room. I've never had that before. Cool. And they were bringing us water and that kind of thing. So yeah, it was really nice. It was really nice. Good evening, Chris C. Ron Fig. Lakers haven't lost since Jeremy went to the game. What can I say, guys? What can I say? Anthony, good evening to you. Welcome. Jeremy Foulball, good to see you. Shaheen, Colin Murray, Trevor, good to see you. Welcome to the show. The commercials before the movie starts. What's up, Hoops Hobby Hangout? We had Joey on last week. Orlando, good evening. Grail Chase. Yeah, we got Grail Chase, and then we got David Chase from the start. Joe is going to join us halfway through the show. He'll be coming on with us as well. Curmudgeon is here. Rob Starr is here. Good to see you, Rob. Double D. Dylan. Enjoyed one of your videos today, buddy. Actually, I don't know if it was today or yesterday. It all blends together, David, because I watched I had a 5.5 hour flight direct home yesterday, and I loaded up my YouTube app with videos and just watched videos the whole way. Piccolina the cat, good evening. Landsyke, we got you. Rated Rabbi is here. What's going on? We got Midlife Greg in the house, everybody. Midlife Greg is in the house. What's going on, G? Welcome to the show. Good to see you, buddy. Yeah. Oh, this is funny from Stukes. He says, I enjoy the roomy hotels in New York City. They are the smallest hotel rooms I've ever stayed in. Second time to New York in a row, David. You got about 150 square feet, if that. But hey, it's fun. We got Mookie Chilson with us. Appreciate that, Mookie, very much. Thank you. Lonely Basement is here. We got, oh man, Yankees fan. Tony is here. The Leaf jacket. It was a nice jacket. I don't know if it's a 9 anymore, but it was a nice jacket. You can actually see it on mine and Adam's Instagrams. Adam posted a little video of me talking about the card and then pictures of the card itself. So you can go see it if you would like to, for sure. Check it out. Midlife Greg likes my shirt. And guys, go buy Midlife Greg's book as well. Hobby Stories by Midlife Hobby Stories. You can go watch. Go watch. Actually, Greg, speaking of watching, is the movie coming out? Do you have a movie deal yet for the book? Because that would be pretty darn cool, buddy. Very cool. Okay, Yankees fan says best slabs for the 71s. I don't disagree. This thing is beautiful. Because you got even the black label on the CGC with the black card. It's a bit of a color label match, I guess you could say. Pretty cool stuff. I do think it looks really good. Dan Brown, how is everyone feeling on day 5 of the hobby being changed forever after the biggest story in hobby history? Has anyone else lost all respect for Brian Gray? I don't lose respect for Brian Gray. Brian Gray's a buddy of mine. I mean, he's not perfect. He likes to be gregarious and have some attention. But I thought the news was a bit of a letdown. It wasn't nearly the magnitude of the news was not nearly where I thought it was going to be after his announcement the day before. Kinger, good evening to you. It's an amazing community. It sure as heck is. Collectors collect for the love of it. Absolutely. Nick Chen, what's going on? Dan's Vintage says there is a GoFundMe for Rev Steve's family. The link is in Lonely Basement's video about Steve. So everybody check that out if you want to contribute to the family of a lost fellow hobbyist. Very nice. Dan says, Jeremy, if I text you to go, I can't from text. No, Dan, sorry. It's just not going to really work for me on text. My phone is not connected to the StreamYard. But go to where you go, or send me I don't know how to do that exactly right now. But we can try. Or go to where Dan said, Lonely Basement. You guys can all take a minute here, go to Lonely Basement, or remember it, go there and you can find the link. And I'm sure other people are going to share it here soon as well. I'll try to figure something out. The Grail Chase. David's 1952 Matthews he showed on Midlife is incredible. Awesome. I Appeal Collector, what's going on? Good to see you. Darren, welcome. Mid-Atlantic, cheers to you. Oh, man, you guys are... Mike Ham is here as well. Confluence is here. Chad Shipper is here. Kyle is here. Promo code Midlife. Clifton Cards, good evening. Area 51. Giant cards on the wall. Where did you get them? Those are original art paintings, Area 51, that I had commissioned from a local artist. They are one-of-one paintings. And then I was thinking about getting them graded, but why grade a 1-of-1? So I probably won't, I probably won't. Thank you for the contribution, Area 51. BW says, as long as I've been listening, you've been warning about the gambling aspect, for lack of a better word. Yeah, I'm not into the gambling aspect of things. Fair enough. Chris C, a bigger story would have been Collector's Universe being investigated and whatnot, but one can dream. Absolutely. We can dream. Who knows what the next big news piece will be? You just never know. So, yeah. All right. We got a few minutes before we're going to bring on the Texas Snowman, David. But let's jump in. Let's talk about value shaming. I called it value shaming in the title because I guess I've seen some videos. I think you talked about it. I think Greg's talked about it. I don't know if he talked about it with Mike or who. It's all a blur. You 2 days of traveling, 1 day in New York, lots of content being listened to and watched. I don't remember who says what anymore, but my understanding of what I was listening to was that a lot of times people don't want to talk about the value of cards, and I don't understand. Like here's one thing I'll say about that, David. When someone says to me, "Oh, great card, what's it worth?" I'm like, we got to get into that already. Can't we just enjoy the card? I have no problem talking about what cards are worth. If you ask me what I paid for a card, I might back off a little bit. Like, it's kind of weird. That'll be a situational thing, whether or not I want to answer that question. But, you know, I don't get offended. I just kind of wish that when someone sees, if I share a card, or, you know, sometimes you post a card on Instagram and someone makes the comment, what's it worth? Or what did you pay? I'm like, I'm not going to answer that. What did I don't even know you half the time. Why am I going to show me your W-2, you know, or in Canada, your T4. And we'll talk about, you know, what do you want to know what I paid for that card? Show me how much money you make. So, like, I know I'm being a little silly there, but that's, you know, that's one thing that I'd rather not have to get into that discussion all the time, or at least let's talk about the card for 10 minutes or 5 minutes before we talk about what it's worth. Because while we talk about value a lot on this show, but we talk about in the terms of, or what I always say is, you know, if it's enough money, I have to consider the exit eventually, because I am not somebody who's just willing to buy a card and let the money disappear. I have a family to take care of, to feed. I can't afford to just, you know, waste my money. And I'm not saying it's a waste, but at the same time, I do buy several cards and I don't care about the value. I don't care if they go down in value because I didn't put significant money into them. So those are kind of my viewpoints on the value side. But is there some sort of sense of people being shamed that you've picked up on, David, for talking about value? And can you explain that to me? What have you seen about that?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's absolutely bonkers to shame people that talk about value. I know that Dylan Double D has spoken about it also, and Greg. It's just, you know, for some reason, collectors that are, I think, on the side of the spectrum, that are the hobbyists, what's the farthest left side of the spectrum, Jeremy?
The purist.
The purists. I think the purists have the hardest time with this, right? Because in their minds, they are buying these cards for them to have forever and that they are never selling, which is okay. And you can think that way, but it's just weird to get frustrated at people that don't feel that way, right? It's okay to think about value of your collectibles. It doesn't mean, you know, yes, sometimes it's frustrating if somebody's only talking about it. That's why, you know, there's a lot of people that are upset at Sports Cards Investor being called Sports Cards Investor, right? Because they think of it only as an investment. And obviously it has to be part of a hobby that we all love. But there is a side of that investing side to it. I just think it's weird. I think it's weird that people get frustrated over talking about thinking of that their cards are worth something. And it's okay if you don't feel that way, but it's also okay that some people do. And I don't know why we have to get frustrated at the value word. It's just
the beautiful thing is that you don't have to listen to it if you don't want to. You can turn it off. You know, you can do that. And I don't consume a lot of content that just doesn't fit into my how I want a hobby, or messaging that doesn't sit well with me, whatever it is. You know, I'm always like, I'm willing to listen to other opinions and points of view, but there's also a point there, not a point, but I would say there's a flavor of content out there that is just not something that is going to make my day better, you know? And now listen, I'm open to having my day become worse if something bad happens in the hobby and I need to know about it. We need to know about it. The hobby needs to know about it. The hobby will be better off if the information gets disseminated. You know, that's a different thing. But I don't know. I just wanted to talk about that a little bit because, you know, there's maybe one of the other things, David, is that there is a lot of talk. There's a lot of like YouTube thumbnails out there and Instagram posts and maybe Twitter posts too. Like, you know, those ones where I spent $50,000 at the card show, or right, that kind of thing. And I don't know, maybe that's what people mean when they say, like, I don't want to listen to people talk about values, or why do you have to talk about values? Why do you care what your cards are worth? Well, why don't you care what your cards are worth? Like, I can see both sides of it. You know, I care what my cards are worth. I don't care what my cards are worth because I have two piles: the cards where I care, the cards where I don't care. Maybe I'm a hybrid carer about value, right? Like, do you have cards that you care about the value and others you don't care about the value? Do you buy cards for under $50, under $100 ever?
I do. I don't buy as many as that I used to, because I kind of keep consolidating into more and more cards that are a little bit more expensive. But like some cards like that are, I like Leaf Hall of Famers. And I really like Retorado, the 67 Venezuelan cards. So you can find those for, they're a lot of times around $100 that I just think are fun cards to have. And they're not the easiest to sell if like you try to sell it at an auction or anything. So I get those for myself. So yeah, there are ones I put in piles of the love of myself. And then there was ones that I love them, but I pay attention to how much they cost a little bit more, just like what you said, just in case there is an exit strategy. And I really think that it's great to hear from well-rounded collectors that have a different opinion as me. So it's weird to me when people, even if they don't love the value of cards and they get frustrated at it, if you're listening to people, I loved the episode of Tony and Mike Petty, The Odd Couple, this recent one. It was an incredible episode. I did not agree with a lot of things that they said. They talked about like anti-eye appeal even sometimes. And, I'm a crazy fanatic about that. But I loved hearing it, like two OGs in the industry talking about it. And you know what? It made me rethink some of the things that I think about. And it makes me a well-rounded collector. So like, even if you don't feel that way, just take it in and listen to other people's perspective. It's cool.
Yeah. Now, one of the things about, buying cards where the value isn't as important to you, and for people who have cards that are where value is important to you, is that you can go buy cards on certain platforms that maybe aren't the super high end stuff that you see on other platforms. Like the Heritage, the REAs. Now then you've got a place like Collector Investor Auctions, partner of the show. We're going to bring Mr. Donson, the Texas Snowman, on here right away. But I know on that platform you can get from low end to mid end to high end. Jeremy, Mr. Snowman, are you ready to come on and join the screen? Let me see a thumbs up, buddy. All right. Look, there he is, Mr. Jeremy Donson of Collector Investor Auctions and the Collector Investor Podcast. How are you, buddy?
I'm good. How are you, my well-named friend?
I am good, my non-follicle challenge friend. Good to see you, buddy. Good to see you.
Dave, good to see you, buddy. How are you?
Good to see you, Mr. Snowman. Good to see you, too.
You too, man.
Yeah. Thou shall now be referred to as Mr. Snowman. Oh, I also see the Snowman neon sign in the background. That's very on brand.
Dude, my wife actually drew that, sketched it out, and we sent it to a custom neon sign. Awesome. I love it. Thank you.
Great to see. So listen, let's get your thoughts. You've been back there for about 5-10 minutes already. Talking about value. Chime in. You've heard David and myself speak about it. Love to get your thoughts. We got a whole bunch of comments. We'll go to those after. But what are your thoughts on the discussion that you just heard?
As far as, looking at a collection and basing it off of value, basically?
Well, yes, but I just feel like your lens, because I know you're a dealer, you buy collections, you sell collections. So value to you when you have that hat on is of the utmost importance, as it should be. That's your business. But as a collector, or the way you would see it from a collector's perspective, maybe not from the perspective of someone who buys and sells collections or someone who has an auction company, more from that perspective. How do you view it from the collector side of things, and even yourself as a collector?
Got it. Well, if I'm viewing it as a collector and it's a card that's very rare, I may not see it again. Like personally, I love T206 drum backs. So as a collector, I am willing to pay top dollar for that card as long as I can, get around the price of it, right? Like I wouldn't want to pay 2x or something, but I wouldn't have a problem paying really strong, even over retail sum for that card, because when am I going to find another one that I like, and I like the eye appeal and registration, and I love this card. So, for cards that I may not see again for a long time, the value is less important to me. It's more the love of that card, and I want it, and I might not see it again. For an everyday card, I mean, if I'm looking at comps and the range is 500 to 750, and I'm looking at this awesome example, and it's like the best one I've seen, I may pay more than 750 because it's so amazing. It's probably really a grade higher than that, and I'm willing to pay for that, right? So it just depends on the card, depends on the rarity, depends on how much I want it as a collector.
Once you've paid for it, and you've paid $750 for that card that you think is, maybe you overpaid a little bit, but you wanted the card. Once you spend that $750 and that money's gone, then how does the mindset move from there? Does it go to, ooh, I hope I get my $750 back one day? Or it's like, you know what, $750 isn't that big of a deal to me. I'm just happy to own the card. If it goes to $0, that's okay. If it goes to $100, that's okay too. If it goes to $2,000, happy to
Right
for
on.
that to happen as well, right? Yeah.
Right. I mean, when if I pay $750 for that card, it's top end retail. In that example, I of course would like it to be worth that or more. Fast forward 1 to 5, 10 years. I mean, I would certainly like it to be, but I bought that card for the enjoyment of that card, and if it ends up being worth 500 when I sell it, I got more than $250 enjoyment out of that. But I would certainly like it if it was worth $750 or more when I if and when I do go to sell it.
Absolutely. I think that I've had that exact same thought too. You buy a card for, let's just use a round number, $1,000, and you hold it for 10 or 20 years, and you go to sell it. If you sell it for $1,000, your cost was really just the time value of money, the inflation, the opportunity cost, and all that. But what's more important to you as a human being, as a collector in the hobby? Is it to have owned that card and enjoyed holding it for that long, or the money that you could have otherwise made if you invested that money into something different, either another card or a more traditional sort of investment? I think everybody has a different approach, a different mindset, a different tolerance to all of these forces that are kind of all at play when you do this. And, as far as like I don't know if this is us talking about value or this is us talking about the approach to talking about value or how people think of it, but I like these sorts of discussions because it gives you a peek into people's mindsets and how they do look at the hobby. And I mean, the hobby is, you're if you don't have money, you can't really be in the hobby anyway. You have to spend money on cards to have cards, and you work for in most cases, you work for your money. And so I don't know. I think talking about value and or not talking about it, thinking about value, having value in mind when you're deploying your income, the money that you've earned, I think it's fair game. Personally, I don't have an issue with it. David, please.
So I think the way that the hobby's been over the last couple of years has made dummies like me look really smart, because I overpay for cards all the time, right? I am going after high eye appeal centered cards, and I am paying dumb prices. Okay, I'm a dummy in that way. But guess what? A lot of people over these last 2 years have jumped on the bandwagon. And the cards that you would think that I crazy overpaid for, I actually, when I've unloaded a lot of them, I don't know if I've lost money on any of them, or very, very little. So the way that the hobby has been and how hot it's been recently, it's maybe giving us a little bit of a better threshold by even overpaying on certain cards that you're in love with,
Absolutely. Yeah. Totally hear you on that. So people are buying cards regularly. They're buying cards on CIA auctions, Mr. Snowman. Let's talk about, you just finished your March auction. It just ended. How did it go? Let's hear kind of your I don't know, debrief of it ended March 15th. So that's already 6 days ago, but how did it go? Are you happy with the results? And was it a growth auction from the month before? How has let me rephrase a little bit. How's Q1? How have the first 3 auctions of 2026 gone for CIA auctions so far?
Very solid overall. Very solid overall. We have an amazing pool of bidders and consigners, and we do a lot of shows. We get to meet a lot of new people with a ton of interesting cards and things that they want to sell, or collections are ready to sell. But overall, the auction has really been doing very, very well, and we just had our biggest one. It was 950-ish lots, and wow. I had to, I was doing 10-second increments in between each lot, and we ended up going down to 7 because I didn't want people to have to wait longer, to get to the end of it. For the modern buyers, it goes in year order, so I didn't want to have to wait too long. So it's really growing, and a lot more eyes are on it now than there were 5 months ago, 10 months ago, 12 months ago, so I'm just really pleased with it. And my job is for not one person to have a bad experience with CIA ever. Like, I want to treat everybody the same and very respectfully. And I want everybody that's a part of it to feel like they matter, they're top priority. Like, how can I help you? Reach out anytime. You know what I mean? So I have a lot of people that'll email me or text me, and they're like, "Hey, I hope I'm not taking too much of your time." I'm like, "No, you're why I'm doing this. Reach out anytime. What you need." So I just love being able to play with cards, not know what I'm going to get. It's like Christmas every auction, you know, it's like, what am I going to get this time? It's so cool. And just dealing with people that share in the hobby that I love, you know, it's really, really fun. And we have some big ones coming next auction too. Next couple auctions, we got some pretty big consignments in. Yeah. So if you want a teaser, I got a set run from California, and I talked about it with Chris on the podcast a bit, but we just got his mantle graded. It's a beautiful, freshly graded PSA 2. So he's very excited to see that in the auction coming up. So a lot of goodies.
What year mantle was that?
52 tops. Sorry. Yeah. 52 tops. Yeah.
One thing about CIA is that you guys pay out your consigners like before you even get paid. Is that right? Yeah, largely. There's one exception there. Like if it's a brand new bidder, they win this item. It's a high dollar item. I may wait till they pay, but I would be in communication with the consigner. I'd be down to pay other stuff that they have, you know, but I don't want to get stuck with a $30,000 card that's a brand new bidder and oops, okay, well, I have this card now. You know what I mean? So but yeah, I like to pay people. I mean, when we started it, Chris and I talked, Chris Sewell, and we're like, what do we like about auction houses? What do we not like about auction houses? Well, I don't like to wait 2 to 4 weeks to get paid. So let's take the brunt of that. Let's wait to get paid and take that inconvenience off of the consigner and let them get paid. And I'm usually up till 1, 2, 3, 4 in the morning, Sunday nights, paying consigners, making invoices, because I would appreciate that if I was a consigner. So we really just thought in the mindset of ourselves being a collector and an investor and a dealer, what would we appreciate? And we wanted to do all those things and exonate the things we wouldn't like, you know? So yeah, I do make a real point to do that within 1 to 5 days. I try to do it with 1 to 3. Very cool. David.
Have you been burned by doing that? Have you not received payment on somebody that you ended up paying out that you've had to front the bill? What's gone on for that situation?
Man, we've been super blessed to have amazing bidders overall. And we do screen, like, you know, if somebody wants a large bidding allotment, you know, for a high max bid amount, we just request invoices or hobby references or something, you know, just to protect our consigners and our bidders and them even, you know, we just really want to have, we want to have a fun, safe place for everybody to bid, consigners to not have to go through that inconvenience experience. So believe it or not, I have not had a non-paying bidder in 7 months, I think. And since we started June 2024, I think there's been maybe 5 or 6 non-paying bidders, and the biggest one was like $3,000. So we've been really, really blessed in that regard for sure. Yeah.
Well, looking forward to seeing the April auction. We will have a look at it on one of the episodes of Sports Cards Live while that is live in April, and kind of take a run through. How big are you expecting it to be? Or let me ask you this. I mean, you said you just had over 900 lots in March. Mm-hmm. Is April tracking to be bigger, smaller, more or less the same? Can you tell you? Is it too early to ask this question?
We're still getting consignments in, and the guys have been very busy on the road with shows, so that certainly takes the time out. But I would say it's probably going to be about the same, roughly the same. Yeah, roughly the same, I would say.
Nice, very nice. And you're doing the podcast with Chris, the Collector Investor Podcast, which mm-hmm. is you know, a hit on the podcast feeds already. You got Theo out there doing additional content for Collector Investor Auctions. He's an employee of the company. How many people do you have? I mean, there's yourself, Chris Sewell. I don't think he's involved in the day-to-day, but he's definitely a figurehead and part of the team. How many people do you have, Jeremy?
So we have 5 currently, and we just hired a 6th that starts in April.
To do what?
He is going to be sorting. He's going to be doing pictures. He's going to be training on doing shows. We definitely need more people for shows. I had to cancel a show because, you know, we have 2 shows at the Dallas Card Show, and unfortunately we couldn't do that and Chicago Spectacular. So I had to cancel Chicago Spectacular, unfortunately. So, wanted to be really heavily involved in the show circuit. I actually just got approved for eBay Live. So I want him to do some eBay Live stuff and get that ball rolling too. So he's gonna be plenty busy, man.
Yeah. Busy. Okay. Mm-hmm. Well, these are signs of growth, and they're signs of you investing in this business. And I think the hobby those who are a part of the CIA auctions ecosystem so far are pretty pleased from what I'm seeing and hearing. So congrats on the growth. Congrats on the opening the Q1 in 2026. And, happy to be a part of the external team, if you will, here on Sports Cards Live as well. So definitely. Let's, guys, why don't we go to some comments and we'll stop on some. We'll talk about them. We'll see. We're going to go back to the previous conversation a little bit here, starting with a comment from Southern Collector 14. I think I know who that is. Tony says, pure collector is someone that hates bringing up value. It is condescending to people who do care about value. Also, if you don't care about value, you had better not insure your collection. A bit of a swipe, right? I don't know. I mean, that it makes sense to me that I see where he's coming from. I think he's kind of saying, and I don't mean to put words in Tony's mouth, but this is how I'm perceiving it, Tony. So if I'm wrong, you can let me know. But it's like he's kind of like, I'm challenging the position that you don't care about the value of your cards. Because if you do, why would you insure them? Because you don't care about how but we'll see what people say about that. Orlando says, enjoy the card, forget about what it cost. I can do that when I spend $50 on a card. When I spend 10,000, 20,000, 150,000, which I've done once, well, I traded into it. I'm not going to forget about what it costs. I'm going to remember that for the rest of my life. Come at me if you want. That's fine. I don't care. You can do that. Hoops. And guys, just put a finger up, Jeremy, David, if you want to add anything to the discussion. Yeah, please, Jeremy.
Yeah, I do have some. I really enjoy collecting this way. I love to collect. I buy a lot of collections or, get them on consignment. But, historically, I've bought a ton of collections. I really enjoy keeping a card that was from that collection because I have a memory attached to it. It's like, oh, I remember this super nice guy, man. He opened packs since 1958. He loved this stuff. He cherished it till he was, up there in age. And he's like, I want you to buy this for me. Let's do a deal. And I'm going to remember that, not just the card, but the person that had it and cherished it and opened it from the pack, or passed down to a family member or whatever. Whatever the story is, it's not just the card that I like. There's a memory attached to it. So I really enjoy collecting that way personally. That's really fun for me.
Absolutely. I love it, man. The story, the memory, the experience, like, especially now that we're all connected. We all who are here right now, we are connected because we are here right now. There are many hobbyists who are not connected because they're not part of social media. They're not part of the overall community. But for those of us that are, like, man, adding a card to my collection from a fellow hobbyist who I'm friends with or respect, I mean, it adds an extra element to that card, to the value, not the monetary value, but to the emotional value of the card. So
absolutely, man. So really funny story. Many of you know, I'm a huge super T206 super nerd, and I had a Cy Young portrait PSA 6 dead centered, and I had an NBA gold diamond, right? And a viewer of Chris's channel really wanted that card, and he knew I had it. So he met me at Dallas Card Show, and he's like, hey, I want that Cy Young. It's awesome. And what can we do? So long story short, we ended up working a deal for the card, part trade and cash for the rest. And at the end, I was like, all right, I'll tell you what. I will accept your offer on one condition. We have to have visitation rights once a year at the National. You got to visit it. I have to visit him, bring him to the National so we can hang out for a while, and you got a deal. He agreed. He brings it, and I hang out with Cy Young, and then I give it back. So pretty fun story, yeah.
Yeah. I've asked for visitation rights in the past myself, so I totally get it. Totally get it. Absolutely. Brown, yeah, go ahead, David.
So you were just mentioning the NBA gold sticker, which I know has been controversial on, especially with me on channels. But if somebody brings you a collection, and let's say it either has high eye appeal or it's in slabs that are like the SGC green slabs or the old PSA slabs, do you ever recommend having them reholder the slabs or get a sticker prior to you consigning them?
It's really awesome that you asked that, because the reason I submitted it to NBA is because it was an ancient holder. Like I would have it, and people were like, man, it's an old label. You know, I'll give you like $13K or whatever, you know, for a PSA 6 Cy Young portrait. And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to see if it'll get a gold because it's gorgeous. And then that argument's gone. So I did. It got the gold. Nobody said it ever again because it's a gold label, you know. So that's exactly why I did that. But yes, so we had a consignor. He's one of our monthly consigners, and he had a gorgeous. It's sold in TIA. You can go and look at the comp on it. But it was a T206 Christy Mathewson. I believe it was a black cap, SGC3. Got a gold diamond and sold super high because it was just an absolute gorgeous card. And he texted me in the middle of the auction. He's like, oh my gosh, dude, I can't believe how high that is. That's amazing. Thanks so much for, you know, getting that gold diamond on it. So yeah, I do that. Like whenever I get a consignment, I just basically think if it was my card, what would I do? And I do that for the consigners. So if I think this needs to be graded, then I'll make it to grade pile and I'll call them up or text them and say, hey, I have 12 cards here I recommend to grade. Do you want me to do it? Just, you know, write permission for me to do it and I'll send it off for you. Or MBA if they want that. You know, so whatever service I can offer them, I want to do that for my consigners if they would like to take me up on that service. Yeah.
Awesome. Good. Yeah. Good question, David. Appreciate that. Yeah. You know, it is. I mean, what the services, the advice, like you can be an auction company, an auction house can simply be a method of liquidity, a form of liquidity for consigners, but it can also become a consultant. You can also help coach it depends how much time you have. I guess the bigger you get, the harder that can become, but that could also be a nice differentiating factor, a bit of a competitive advantage or something that you can offer that others don't if your customers want it. All right, good. Brown Coin here says we should shame grades too. Oh, we do. I do it all the time, Brown Coin. I'm the king of the grade shamers. Absolutely. Double D says, I have loved value ever since I was a kid. Yeah, I mean, money is an important part of society, guys. Shaheen says, I'm purely a card nerd. Value matters, just not always a driving factor. Absolutely. I like that. That resonates with me. Yep. Tony says, I don't collect for value, but I do care. Rational, fair, normal. Like that just seems reasonable to me. Brown Coin says, people who care about grades are snobs. Now, I want to pause here on this one because it's a pretty general statement there, and I don't agree with it in its absolute form here, but I think that there's a segment of people who care about grades that are snobs, but I don't think it's absolute in that. I can see David's brain is rolling, and I think what Brown Coin is also saying, and I again, this is an assumption, is that people who care about high grades are snobs. I think is maybe what he's getting at, because I care about grade a lot because I care about low. I want low grade, high eye appeal. So I care about grade because grade drives price, and I only have so much money to work with, and so much card equity to work with. So I do care about grades because I care about what I have to I care about the capital that I have to deploy into acquiring a new piece. Anyone have anything to add to that, David?
Yeah. So, you know, when somebody has a very high grade card, I respect it. I think that it's a very cool card. I also think it's kind of an easy way to collect if you're very wealthy, to have nice cards. So it's understandable to have those. But to me, it doesn't feel the same when I see somebody that has a medium to lower grade card that looks like a high grade card than a high grade card that's just because of the grade. And a lot of those high grade cards to me aren't, they don't look the way that they should even being in those high grades, because almost all of them that are vintage are in very old labels where the grading standards were a little different. And to me, it's kind of like, you know, listen, I have a lot of friends. I don't have very many friends that are like wearing the most designer clothes in the world, right? The Armani suits and everything that's like very, very expensive. Those are the people to me that are like buying the PSA 8s and 9s of the old vintage cards that are like hundreds of thousands of dollars. And I just think that you can look nice wearing regular clothes and, you know, be in the mid to lower grades and still make it look very good. So do I care about grades? Of course that I do, but I understand how it can seem a little snobby if somebody has all very high grades, it's an easier way to collect if you have money, in my mind.
Which ties in a little bit to part of the title of this episode, which is, are advanced collectors actually amateurs? And yes, that's a little bit provocative. I can admit that. But that was kind of one of my points there, was that just because you have money and you can buy every card you want in the highest grade out there doesn't make you an advanced collector. I don't think it does. And then the question becomes, what is an advanced collector? But let's table that for now. We'll talk about that a little bit later in the show. There's still a ton of comments I want to get through here, and some great ones from the chat here. Sven Patrick says, if you owned a Beckett as a kid, you care about value. Well, yeah, I see what he's saying. And I mean, hey, I remember the first time I saw Beckett. We talk about that a lot. I've mentioned this story 100 times on the show. I'm not going to tell it again. But yeah, as soon as I got my first Beckett, I'm like, oh my gosh, these cards are worth something that I've been collecting for the past 6-7 years. I loved it. It was great to see as a 14-year-old kid. Carl from Oz, you are late, better late than never, buddy. Welcome to the show, Carl. Mookie Chilson says, my hobby includes buying and selling cards. You better know your values. No shame in that game. Fair. I mean, if you're going to be a bit of an operator, you can be a purist, a nostalgic, a precisionist, but you can also be a bit of an operator, because maybe you are buying and selling cards to subsidize your collection. I've been doing that for 20 plus years. I'm sure many people have. Dylan says, some cards value means nothing. Some cards it means everything. But Dylan, I'm going to push back a bit on the everything. Oh, no, I'm not. Well, yes, I am. Because I'm not pushing back. I'm going to just, let me rephrase that. I'm going to say that for me, I don't know that there are some cards where value is everything, because like, I just like all cards, even, and there's a question that comes up later from Jim Sholey, where I bought a Randy Moss exquisite card on Fanatics Collect Weekly a couple weeks ago. And I did not buy that for my personal collection. I bought it because I thought it was just too cheap and a cool card. And eventually I'm going to sell that card. So did I buy it only for value? Well, I bought it for value, but I also bought it because I think it's a cool card. So it wasn't everything. That's kind of why I kind of hesitate. Okay. We got both of you. Let's start with Jeremy.
Okay. So going back to the Beckett comment, I can certainly get behind somebody wanting to make sure that they're an educated, they're buying as a collector, but educated buying, right? So you have a Beckett, you want to make sure, like, man, I want to make sure I'm not grossly overpaying for this card. Back in the day, that's how you can look it up to see the value. I can totally get behind that. You know what I mean? Like, I want to make sure that I'm not paying $400 for this card, but it's really worth $200. You know what I mean? So I can totally see that. You want to make sure that you're not making unwise decisions. Doesn't necessarily mean that you care mostly about value. It's just wise, right? It's just wise buying.
Well, right. I mean, even, if you are buying cards to sell them, a lot of people say the money is made on the buy in many cases, right? Like that's a business standard kind of comment cliche that you hear in all sorts of industries and segments. So I hear what you're saying. Yeah, you may as well buy as well as you can. I mean, most people, I think, people I deal with when I'm set up at a card show, they always want to get the best deal possible, and I'm at a card show. I want to get the best deal possible. I don't want to insult the seller. I don't want to lowball, but I probably have a few times in the past without intentionally doing it. Maybe we have a different viewpoint on what a card is worth, but yeah, you want to buy as well as you can so you can retain as much of your money as you can. We need money in society. David, were you going to jump in on this one?
Yeah, so I have a question for both of you that you have to be a little brave to answer this question, okay? Do either of you have any cards in your collection that you do not have very much passion towards, but you feel like they're undervalued, which is why you hold on to them?
My Randy Moss comes to mind, which, I don't have it in hand, and I will probably never take it in hand. I don't do that very often, buy a card at auction because I think it's too low price. I just saw this card. I'm like, this is awesome, but in my collection, I've gone through some pretty heavy consolidation processes, 2 big processes where I had to give up chunks of my collection. And what I'm left with, it was like, what I really like. So I'm going to say, like 99.9% no. How about you, Jeremy?
I certainly have things that I have bought in collections as a dealer to buy and sell that I am hanging on to because I feel very confident that it's going to go up, right? And I don't mind holding on to it. And it's not something that I really personally would want a PC. As far as my PC goes, I don't really think so. Not really. I mean, in my PC, the driving force for my PC is kind of a combination of, I like certain cards, like I'm building a 52 top set and I want to build a centered 52 top set. So going back to, do I mind paying high prices? Some of those cards are almost never centered. If I see a centered one, I'm going to pay up on that card. You know what I'm saying? So, those cards I collect because I love that set. My T206s I collect because I love that set. I have some cards that I consider in my PC that I'm not overly passionate about, but I like the card and it's a significant card in the hobby and I would like to own one. So I have it, but I wouldn't say I'm like in love with it, if you will, but I enjoy it and I like it. And I'm a big rookie collector. I like to collect rookies of big stars, and some of them I'm much more passionate about than others. But not really with the motivator of, I think it's undervalued, I'm going to hold it and call it my PC. And it's not that I think that's right or wrong. It's just, I largely don't view it that way. Kind of echoing what Jeremy said. I really view it as, hey, this is my PC. It's my PC for a variety of whatever reasons. But if it's something I'm holding on to because I think it's going to go up, then that's more in my investment pile, if you will, of I'm holding these because I really think it's a good investment, but I wouldn't label it as PC. Like, I'm not a soccer guy at all. I just kept a couple soccer cards because I think they're going to go up, and I could be dead wrong, but I think they will. I personally care nothing about soccer as a collector. So that's a good example, I think.
So that's exactly, so you literally took the words right out of my mouth is what you just said. So a couple years ago, and by the way, 99% of my collection is passion too. But yeah. I was thinking a couple of years ago that Messi cards are so crazy undervalued, right? As him being the GOAT. And he has like 4 rookie cards. That one that I became like second highest bidder. I was just an idiot and didn't pay a little bit more to get that one card that I should have a couple years ago. But I got all of his other rookies, right? Like he has like 4 kind of rookies. And I got them in relatively high grades, like 9s. I do not watch soccer just like you. And I don't really care. And it's the only cards that I have that I really have no passion towards, but I also don't really feel the need to unload them at this point. And also, do I care that they're a PSA 9? Not really either. But that's literally the only cards that I have also that I'm holding on to, and I don't have any feeling towards. I've never even seen Messi play, which is pretty sad.
Right.
I think it's fair, man. It's fair. I mean, plus we are card collectors. We can start collecting a sport or a player or some sort of genre or whatever it is, a lane, because of cards, and then we can grow to learn about that athlete or that sport or whatever it is. I mean, I think that's fair. There's no rules here. However you get to where you get to is fine. And if you learn a few lessons along the way, well, that might have value for you as well. A couple comments here. I think Jim at the Bank says it really well. I think it's about caring about minimizing downside versus trying to maximize upside. I think if you're not trying to do that, you might be being financially irresponsible, but that might be okay with you. That's how you choose to live life. That's okay. Orlando says, I'm now selling cards I don't love. I think is just a good way to approach a collection if you're on a limited budget or if you want to save money for other cards or, again, redeploy, change your collection around a little bit. Dylan doesn't care what anybody thinks. He just says, when a card is worth more to me, it absolutely makes me like the card more. Dumb, yes, but that's just how I feel. Dylan, I don't think it's dumb, man. It's how you feel. I don't think it's dumb. You're entitled, buddy. You're entitled to how you feel about these things. It makes a ton of sense to me that you are you. I mean, that's the one thing. Like, if you are out there consuming content that is shaming you for how you approach the hobby, stop watching that content. Like, or do a response video. The response videos are all the rage in a lot of the hobby content circles right now. I see a lot of these response videos. I've never done one. Maybe I will one day. Stukes here says value has more than one meaning for collectibles. There's dollar value, sentimental value, investment value, historical value. To each his own. Stukes, comment of the year right there from Stukes. I got to say, yeah, amazingly well said there. Chris C, sentimental equity, I call mine. I love that term. Dylan says, I love money. I love cards. I love my cards to go up in value. That's okay. I love my cards to go up in value too. If you don't love your cards going up in value, and it's a mindset that's like, well, then again, that the problem with loving your cards going up in value is that when they do, they can go down in value. We live in this hobby is very cyclical, right? So if they go up in value, you better be prepared. Brace yourself for when they ultimately potentially go down in value. That's the only kind of caveat to Dylan's comment there. David.
Which only matters when you sell them, right?
Right.
Doesn't, right? Unrealized ups and downs don't really matter as much as when you unless you unload it.
It only I think it only, like, it's like that you have unrealized losses and realized. It's unrealized until you sell that card, or it might not be an unrealized loss. You buy it for 100, it goes up to 300, then it comes down to 200. You can be flying high emotionally at 300. When it goes down to 200, like, damn it, maybe I should have sold it at 300. Or you're like, no, I want to own the card. I'm still up double. I went from 100 to 200. But you have to be able to understand yourself and your mindset and how you respond to these cycles and be like, I'm okay. I bought it for 100. It went up to 300. It's now at 200. I'm happy as a pig and poop at that point still, right? Could be. Laura here says, my card's value may not be the same as yours, but all of us have that one or more card or cards that cause the pulse to race and give you a big grin. And for me, Laura, I hear what Laura's saying. It's not even I think this is what Laura's saying. It's not even just the heart racing. It's like that. I talk about it a lot, like that, the butterflies in your stomach. I can think about cards and I get these weird feelings through me. It's a love for cards. Jeremy, Called Shot Cards here says that you are tanned for a snowman. That's about a half an hour old already. But he is the Texas snowman. So
yeah, I am quite white, actually. I just played golf yesterday, and I don't really tan. I fry, and whatever skin's left happens to be darker. That's pretty much how it happens, but thank you.
Hello to Michael Rader. Welcome to the show. Orlando says, I only look at value when I'm selling a card from my collection. Fair. Yeah. Vintage says, loved Midlife and Jeremy the Snowman's video on vintage non-sport. Presidential cards, would love the panel's thoughts on it. I don't have context. I'm sorry right now. I don't have context. I'm sorry. Confluent Sports Cards says, fun fact, the Texas Snowman is also his stage name from his old Chippendale days. Ooh, did not know.
How'd you know?
Here's a great comment from Clifton Cards. Wouldn't it be nice if we worried as much about our own hobby experience as we do about others' hobby experiences? Wouldn't it be nice? Wouldn't it? Wouldn't if you like... No, because I think Clifton, people are drawn to drama in this, not just in this hobby. People are drawn to drama, and drama comes from conflict, and conflict comes from being worried about what other people are doing and how they're living their life. So, but I'm with you, Clifton. Wouldn't it be nice? Ryan South says, many better ways to invest money than cards. I mean, maybe not, actually. If you look at the historical performance on some cards, not all of them, of course, but some cards have outproduced most, if not. Now, there are some stocks that have done really well. You know, there's the Nvidias of the world, but then there's also the Michael Jordan 90s cards of the world that have outperformed most blue chip stocks. So I've never. I hear what Ryan is saying, but I've never agreed with his comment because I know for myself the return that I have had on cards has been very strong. And stronger than any of my investments have been. Like, it's not even close. So there might be some better ways, but if you have approached cards as an investor or as a collector who just happened into some of the right cards, you are laughing at all your friends who are not in the hobby that have been invested in some blue chips, and you are doing way better than they are. So I just don't agree with the comment, but for some, it's probably very true, and it does not apply to all cards. Absolutely. Mid-Atlantic says, my dilemma, I personally don't care that much about condition, but I am well aware that my best hope of appreciation and retention of value is tied to high grades, and I do care about appreciation. This is one where I think that I hear the comment, guys, but I just don't know that it's going to remain that way forever. This eye appeal movement is a real thing. The confidence in grading is at a low and continues to go down to the point where I just don't know about that. And that's a fear that I have for people who are just, card blind and just, a slave to the grade. If that's all, if that's where you're at, you just care about the grade, I think you're going to be in for some hurting down the road. Not in 2026, probably not in 2027, but in the future. Jeremy.
Yeah, I think there's certainly, with the card being graded, there's certainly, it's a barometer of confidence, I guess you could say. Like, okay, I know it's a 4, I can pay X, but we all know that there's 4s that look like 6s and there's 4s that look like 1s. You know what I mean? But for the masses and the public, that's the universal system to say this card's worth the 4. Here's the value attached to it. This card's worth the 7. Here's the value attached to it. And if it's raw, somebody may think it's a 7. Somebody may think it's a 6. Somebody 5. Somebody 8. So I feel like it really helps give the masses as a whole a more specific price point of value range on a card that I think is really important for the hobby, albeit it's certainly not, it's grossly inaccurate. And, there may be, you send it in 9 times, you get 7 different grades, right? So, I wish it was more accurate, certainly. Yeah.
Yeah, no, fair. Very fair.
So,
go ahead.
So Jeremy, excuse me, Mr. Snowman, because
okay,
I have to separate the two of you. Let's say you find your dream T206 card that you've been looking for. Okay.
Wow.
It's in a PSA 2 and it looks like PSA 7. There's a little bit of paper loss. Maybe it's a 1.5.
Oh, right.
You're saying that it's in a range. How does that range differ from when you look at comps and you see that the range is $1,000 here or there? But when you see that kind of a card, where does the range go to if it's a card that you want?
Wow, that's a great question, man. I personally love certain cards that look awesome, but they can't have a high technical grade, to your point, because they have paper loss in the back, right? So for me, I'm probably not really going to look at the back much unless it's like a Carolina Bright or a drum back or something that I want to. Then that would be kind of a bummer because part of that's missing, right? But I'd be willing to pay up on a card like that because it's gorgeous. And let's just say a 4 is $6,000 and the 1 is $1,500. Maybe I pay $1,500, maybe I pay $2,000, maybe I pay more because it looks like this one that's worth a lot more, but I'm more proud of this one because look at this thing. I mean, it looks like a 7 or something, and it's got paper loss, so it's worth a lot less. So I certainly could get behind paying up on a card that is just drop dead gorgeous, and the grade says because of the technical issue on the paper loss, it can't be high. But in my mind, beauty's in the eye of the beholder. This thing is gorgeous to me. I'll pay up on that card. I like it a lot. I want it. I love it, and I'm willing to pay high for that. Yeah.
Well, that's why Jeremy was saying, though, that even though grades give us a confined boundary,
right,
that boundary can go out the window.
True.
With the way that the hobby is now, right? And the way that we're looking at cards. And that's why, to me, grades mean less than they ever have, is exactly for what you just said.
Excellent point. Yeah.
And so Comic Lover, welcome to the show, says, how is confidence at an all-time low in grading when PSA 10s have never been more difficult to get? It's a great question, but it's because I think a lot of it is because the inconsistency, the pop control that some people think is going on there. I mean, why I think part of the answer is in the question. PSA 10s have never been more difficult to get. Why is that? Like, why should they be more difficult now than in the past? Doesn't that tell you something, like Comic Lover, that it's not consistent, that grading is control, the output is controlled there are, and I don't know if it's if that comes from upper management or management at the grading companies, or if it's because the new hires at the growing grading companies don't want to give them out too easily. They don't want to lose their jobs. Are they doing it for that reason? But I think you answer the question in there yourself. In a way, confidence is at an all-time low in grading right now. It basically took the hobby 30 years to realize that grading is being done by one person in most of the cases. They're not consistent. We know that. There's all sorts of experiments and videos out there of cards that where the grades just don't make sense, and that's why. I think that's why, and I'm sure there's better ways to articulate that. David?
Somebody was mentioning that 52 Matthews that I showed on Greg's channel. That card, for me, it's as high as a grade that I would ever want in a card like this. It's a PSA 4, okay, which to me is a crazy high grade. But it's interesting because I looked at the comps on every 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8 in that 52 Matthews. Do you know that literally there were no sales of any newer grades? Every single grade that was over a 4 was an extremely old graded PSA card. Not one. There was not even a 5 that was a relatively newer grade. And I mean, what does that say? Now, maybe it's because technically nowadays, when they're looking at a card, they're able to see the problems with the card a little bit better with technology, whatever the reason for it is. But it kind of says a lot that they're always old cert numbers that have the higher grades. It's extremely rare to find a 52, 53 card that's a new grade, that's a 7. It's like almost non-existent,
Well, Comic Lover goes on to answer his own question. He says 55, 45 centering change. That's why. Okay. But if you listen to the PSA people who talked about it, they said, no, we didn't change anything. We just changed the way we wrote about it. And I pushed back and said, no, you changed the standards. And they said, no, we didn't change the standards. So it's very inconsistent. But if you want to learn more about it, Comic Lover, you can purchase my book, Pops and Comps, Truths, Insights, and Psychology Behind the Numbers That Drive the Sports Card Market. 400 pages of hobby goodness and insights that you won't find anywhere else. Well, you might find people talking about it here and there, but lots of information on why in that book that I think will help you round out your overall thoughts on things, or maybe not. I guess time will tell on that. Okay, Mid-Atlantic says, my dilemma, I personally don't care that much about condition, but I am well aware that my best hope of appreciation and retention of value is tied to high. Oh, did we not do that one already? Sorry, that might be the same one. Sorry, guys. Dylan says high grades no longer equates to high appreciation. Yeah, I mean, there's examples of both. Mookie says, I won my 4th card at CIA auction this week. Great experience. There you go. Little plug for CIA auctions. James Wynn, anyone selling Chuck Norris cards, rest in peace. Yes. Tony says the opposite of pure collector is impure collector. I really don't care if people collect and don't care about value. Some value guys can be condescending to those guys too. Just respect others. Well said at the end, Tony. Just respect others. Absolutely. Hello to Brad's Vintage. Are those fingers going up in agreement, or because you want to say something?
Say something, but it's okay. It's fine.
Jump in, please.
Yeah, I mean, value of a card is, everybody collects differently, right? Some people love low end, some people love high end. At the end of the day, we're all people, and I got into this hobby never planning or expecting to own an auction house, start an auction house, make it my career. I never planned on any of that. I got into it because I opened 1991 Topps packs with my dad, went to Kenny Rogers' perfect game in the 90s with the Rangers, and didn't even know what was happening until the 7th inning when my dad told me, and here I am, you know what I mean? So the most important thing to me, whether you collect high end or low end, or for whatever reason, it doesn't make you more or less of a person or respected or anything like that, and it shouldn't anyway. It shouldn't in anybody's eyes.
Appreciate the comments. Absolutely. Brad's Vintage. Hello. Jim Sholey. The rare Moss Raiders card I recently purchased. Is that a card? It's not a personal card. Absolutely not a personal card. Well, it might turn into one, but probably not. Dylan says, I'm a snob and I don't care about grades. JRW says snobs are us. Anthony says, I always look for eye appeal. I never graded a card, buy graded cards. I think you buy grade. Yeah, you've never graded them. You buy them, but you've been collecting for 40 years. Awesome. Brad says, now that eye appeal cards cost 2 grades more, high grade cards are starting to seem like a bargain. They don't all cost 2. I saw Brad's video, both of his videos, but they don't all cost 2 grades higher. Like, you can still find cards that don't. It just depends where you're buying them. But you know, where there's a million eyeballs on them or thousands of eyeballs on them. Yeah. People want nice cards, regardless of what the grade says. You got 2 of us on right here on top. Darren says, big fan of low grade, great looking card. Here. Yeah. Feel like I found a cheat code when I get a 7 with better centering eye appeal than certain 9s have. Darren, I mean, I say that's winning. I think that's how you win the hobby, especially if you're not paying the 9 prices for the 7, which you don't have to. Brad on his videos found several cases where the card sold for more. Although a lot of that was with eye appeal stickers. You can certainly find high eye appeal cards without eye appeal stickers and get them in some cases for average prices of that grade. I got one at the West Coast Card Show, got one at the National last year, and I'm going to find another one at the show I'm going to in Edmonton next month. Orlando says, I'll be 80 in 10 years, enjoying my collection now more than ever.
Nice.
Absolutely. Good for you. Good for you. I hope I feel the same way. Well, I do. I feel this. I feel like I'm always at a point where I enjoy my collection more than ever, because I'm constantly, our collections are kind of fluid, right? They're not everybody's. Mine is fluid. I'm adding, I'm subtracting. I fall out of love with cards I've had before, and I get rid of them. It's like, before I go to a card show, I go through my collection, and I say, do I still love you? Do I still love you? Do I still love you? If I don't love you, you're on the chopping block. Go ahead. Yeah. Okay. Let's start with Jeremy. You've got his finger up first.
I love one of my favorite things, man. Tell me if you guys, same for you, but one of my favorite things is when I get an upgrade for something, and I almost immediately sell the one that I still love, but this is an upgrade for me. I like it more, so I'm going to sell this one. I really enjoy doing that. Like, I'm like, oh, do I have that card? And I'll look through my spreadsheet, or I'll look through my collection. I do. I have a 5. This is a 6, and it's more. It's better registration, better centering. I love this one. I really enjoy doing that. That's fun.
The longer I hold the card, though, the more I get attached to that specific copy, and then I'm like, maybe I'm not going to bother upgrading. But let's hear. Go ahead.
And just to build on that, Mr. Snowman, do you ever do the same thing if you find a 4 that looks better than your 5?
I have done that. Yes, I have done that. Yes, and to Jeremy's point, and really yours too, in a different way though, is there are times where I have an upgrade, but I have a memory attached to the lower one. I'll sell the one that would have been an upgrade. You know what I mean? But because of I remember the card. Or to your point, my 4 is just epic, and the 6 is it a 6? Question mark. You know what I mean? So yeah, 100%. Yes.
I call it upgrading by downgrading. Like, I'm upgrading the card by downgrading the rate. Go ahead, Dave.
And I love going through my collection and trimming the bonsai tree. Like, to me, there's no better feeling than doing that. And I know for some people, they have such passion about keeping every one of their cards. I don't have that at all. And I fall out of love very frequently. I've been married for a long time, but I fall out of love with my my baseball cards. And one of the ways that I actually found for me, the best way to do that, Mike Petty actually gave me this way of doing it. He had me buy a flatbed scanner that they don't even make anymore. Okay, I don't know if anybody uses these scanners anymore, but I scanned all my cards, and literally when I'm like watching an embarrassing reality TV show with my wife, I'm like totally looking at my collection. So I don't have to go through my binders, and I do that. And then the ways that I figure out if I love the card or not is how long I stay on that card, right? The ones that I flip through quickly, I'm like, you know what? I'm obviously not that excited about this card anymore. And the ones that I stare at, those are the ones that I know are a keeper. So that's my way of kind of figuring out the ones that I fall a little bit out of love with.
Love it.
Yeah, absolutely. 90s Auction says, I love my cards, but do not care if they go up or down. It doesn't change how I feel. In fact, I stopped looking at prices after I buy a card. And he's been saying that for years. Josh, he'll be joining us later on the show. Craig Cards, welcome to the show. It's okay that you're late. Just glad to have you. Let's go. Jordan says, there are women who love sports cards. Yes, there are plenty of them. Not as many men, absolutely, but we got Laura. Got to meet Laura in person at the Burbank card store, last month, and Laura's lovely. And Laura's that was this month even actually. That was earlier this month still, I believe. Yeah, it was this month. And Laura is just one example. So yes, but I think Let's Go Jordan knows that. I like this comment. Cardboard candy. ROI. Cardio is greater than Pokemon, which is greater than sports cards, which is greater than stocks, greater than candy, greater than shoelaces. I'd personally have candy ranked a little bit higher, but I hear you. Dylan says, talking to me here, Jeremy, that PSA 9 Jackie Leaf you showed on Instagram didn't look as good as that PSA 1 that recently sold. Agreed. I mean, from that angle, from that distance, I agree. The PSA 1 that sold, there has been a PSA 4.5 and a PSA 4 and other 3s that have sold since then for less money than the one sold for. And that speaks to why, grading is just not as respected as it once was, because I appeal technical, and my issue, and I have to flesh this out in my own mind, but my issues aren't just with grading and consistency. I now believe that I have issues with the standards themselves, the printed standards that are not adhered to consistently or perfectly. Greg says grading is tougher because they're using new technology that sees things that weren't seen before. They're also grading faster than they ever have. I'm not aware of the new technology piece, but like at the human grading companies, I think they use technology for some things like maybe measurement and centering and identification perhaps, but I don't think they're using it to I don't know. I'm not behind closed doors. I don't think any of us really know. But I agree with this last part. They're also grading faster than they ever have. Faster, they're decentralized. They're in many different, we're talking about PSA at this point. They're in many different countries and offices. They just can't maintain control the way they otherwise could have if everyone was under one roof, like they were for a long time in California. Diamond Relic says, I would argue they changed a lot of parameters. They only changed the wording on the centering. Diamond Relics, I mean, I can't disagree with that, but did they, like, by virtue of them just being inconsistent, they don't need to have, the parameters are kind of, they don't even really matter. You know what I mean? Like they're just, if you watch the videos recently that Boston Card Hunter has done with the X PSA grader, and there's a video that Boston Card Hunter just put out a few days ago where he did an experiment. He actually cracked a bunch of graded cards, sent them to this PSA grader who then grades them on the video, and how he did when he was a grader at PSA. Guys, he's not measuring for centering. He's eyeballing these things. They're just eyeballing these things. There's really no science behind it, at least from what that guy showed, and assuming that video is an accurate representation of how he behaved when he was a grader at PSA, and that reflected how others did as well. Yankees fan says, will my book be out on Audible? I can have AI read my book. I don't know. I've been asked that. Undetermined at this point, Yankees fan, but it will be out in ebook format very soon. And Perk Sports Cards says, what's up, guys? I recently started an album of the raw cards that got me into the hobby. Raw, a lot of them are worth nothing, but having clean copies together in one place has been very satisfying. Love this comment. Has been very satisfying. That's all that matters, is that it's satisfying to you and that you've been enjoying it. I mean, that's everything, right? Guys, real quick announcement, though, here before we continue. Rage is now in the building, everybody. Rage is in the building. Okay, we ran through a lot there. I'm out of noted comments, but we have a bunch more that I would like to run through and find. So in the meantime, I want to go back to the Texas Snowman for a second, because I had a few things on I want to make sure that we've touched on the things that I wanted to talk about with you during your appearance here tonight. Is there anything else that you wanted to share? And again, his name is also, we're both Jeremys. So that maybe for anyone who doesn't know that. So Mr. Snowman, aka Jeremy Donson. Anything else you wanted to talk about that you showed up with tonight that was on your mind, or that you were expecting us to talk about? I don't want to leave anything on the cutting room floor that you'd rather we didn't.
No, man, I'm just grateful to be in this hobby, man. I love every day of it. It's awesome. I'm enjoying it. It's a blessing, and I am just, it's not work for me. I really enjoy it. You know what I mean? And one major thing that I am really excited about is, about a month ago, we partnered with VCP, VCP.com, and we are their exclusive auction house for VCP. So any card you go to in VCP, you can click on the consign or sell, and it pops up with the CIA logo. You fill out what you have, and it goes to us. Like, I was so honored that, I mean, they could have went to any auction house they wanted. I was just so honored that they went with CIA. I was ecstatic. I was like a little kid. So
how did that come about that? How did that come about? Like, were they looking for an auction? Did you approach them? Did they approach you? Did they go through an RFP process? How did you get that gig? I'll put it that way.
Well, the answer is always no if you don't ask, and so I just, I had wanted to get reported on VCP and Card Ladder. So I reached out to them as hey, are you guys good with reporting CIA? Now we've been in business X amount of time and stuff, and just really hit it off with some of the owners. And I was like, hey, so I noticed you have this thing here. We started talking, and fast forward, probably, I don't know, maybe, a few months of talking, we had a meeting, and here we are. So yeah, it just started from me asking. I mean, I just asked. I was like, hey, so what do you think? And yeah.
Well, congratulations. I mean, that's awesome. I'm glad you mentioned that. I mean, VCP's been around for quite some time, and but you've been on the card. When you go to cardladder.com on the homepage, right away you see they're up to close to 20 different platforms that are feeding in there, and I think the more the better. I would love to see ComC in there. I mean, ComC's, their data is not out there, although there are periods, I think even right now, you can see what other cards have sold for. And it's kind of funny because like there's a card that I was looking at on there that was at like $275, and all the sales history was like $45, $85, It's like, man, I'm not great at stuff, just raw, more modern cards. But yeah. Good that you're on there. Absolutely. And to be the exclusive auction company for VCP is pretty cool too. Congrats.
Thank you.
And congrats on the new podcast. So let people know, Mr. Snowman, where can people listen to the pod? And obviously Collector Investor Auctions is collectorinvestorauctions.com. You can go there. You've seen it on the ticker right now for a while. You can go there, register to bid on their monthly auctions, which usually run from the 5th to the 15th. Is that kind of the standard, or does it jump around? I feel like the last couple of months has been the 5th to the 15th.
Yeah, so last year we had it to where it was the second Thursday of the month, but then we're like, well, the national, we should do it the first, and then Thanksgiving and Christmas. So effective beginning of the year, I just changed it to let's just do it the first Thursday of every month. Keep it consistent. It's easy that way. So whatever the first Thursday is of the month, that's when the auction goes live for bidding.
There we go. Perfect. Yeah. Okay, before we go ahead, David.
So I just want to say, a lot of the hobby loves to complain about auction houses. And I'll just tell you that I have literally never heard a complaint about CIA.
Awesome.
Seriously.
Awesome. That's great.
I hear so many people say such great things in our community about it. So you should really give yourself a pat on the back on that. And then I kind of have a silly question for you. But when you're at a show, how many times during that show do people ask you about Chris? I bet it's a lot.
I don't know. Probably, if I had to guess, I'd probably say, hey, where's Chris? Hey, where's Chris? That's probably the most common thing. It's like, or hey, love you and Chris, blah, 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 And I so appreciate that, man. I so appreciate that. If I had to guess, I'd probably say 10, 12 times a show. Somebody comes up and they're like, hey, where's Chris? Or, love you guys' content and ask about Chris specifically. You know what I mean? So, yeah, probably a dozen or so. Yeah.
Nice. Very nice.
Thank you for what you said, David. I really appreciate that. That's awesome.
Chris C here says CIA doesn't allow shilling, might be a part of the reason why. Very good. Very good. Okay. I want to go through just a couple more comments here before we switch from the Texas Snowman to Joe Poirot, who's hanging out in the back. Joe, give us a couple minutes. We're going to run through a few comments, but Joe, pay attention. I want to get your thoughts. Actually, we're just going to bring Joe on right now. We'll bring on Joe right now to join, but we're going to go right into comments. So say hello, everybody, to Mr. Joe Poirot from Santa Cruz, California. How are you, buddy?
Doing well. Enjoying the show.
Nice. Good to have you. Okay. Quick comment run through, guys. I got 7 of them. 00 cards guy. Jeremy couldn't believe I was selling a high-end in-person auto patch card. Just wanted to move on. Yeah, he had a really nice Steve Eiserman like patch card that was autoed. At a card show. Brad's Vintage says the fact that we don't know and PSA acts like knowing exactly how they grade is. Hold on, I'm going to start this over again. The fact that we don't know and PSA acts like knowing exactly how they grade is, I would tell them, but have to kill you. I would tell you, but I would have to kill you scenario is a big part of why confidence has eroded. I see. It's what I think Brad is saying here is the secrecy in the grading. It's the black box of grading. There's a chapter in Pops and Comps titled, or a section within a chapter titled the black box of grading. You need to understand that is a problem in our hobby. There is no transparency from the human grading companies. There's none. Even there's graders notes on some cards, and some argue that the subgrades on Beckett are transparency. That is a degree of transparency, but it's not complete transparency. And PSA has no transparency for the most part. Cardboard and Candy here said the grading issue. I find a nice lady, I think is gem mint. You think she's near mint. Who is right? And here's the issue with I quickly glanced versus systematic technical grading with standards. Absolutely agree with that. Well, but the thing is there with Cardboard Candy's question is where he says, who is right? Is that, well, there are standards. There are published standards that they should go by. But if you watch Boston Card Hunters video, you will see that it doesn't seem like these graders have the standards in front of them when they're grading. It doesn't seem like they're referring to the standards okay, we've got two teachers on the screen right now with us. When you guys are grading a test, do you not have like, I think, is it called a rubric, or you've got the answers to the test ready to go against to make sure that you have a standard to grade against? That's how it should be done. It doesn't seem like at grading companies those standards are sitting there and being ready to be compared to, or the card to the card to be compared against. Chris from Missouri says, I do not mind trading a better looking or higher grade to pick up the same card in a lower grade and a different card. Yeah, absolutely. Chris from Missouri, who will be joining us, I believe, 2 Saturdays from now. High Pop Professor Brian says, Boston Card Hunters, which a recent grading test video with an ex-PSA grader was amazing. Very interesting, guys, and eye-opening and disappointing all at the same time. Brad's Vintage said, I am currently upgrading by downgrading to free up funds for Strongsville and the National, but very picky on how the downgrade looks and try to replace before I sell. Great strategy if it works for you, and I like that approach. Chris C says, I'm on Team Raw, Collectors Universe, who owns PSA, Beckett, and others, isn't about an SGC. Says Collectors Universe isn't about collectors. It's about siphoning the most money from them. I know it's a business, but they're a racket, no consistency, no accountability. I will say, though, on that I do see their CEO, the CEO of the parent company, Nat Turner. I do see him on Twitter quite regularly responding directly to people's concerns and questions. I think that is a degree of accountability, but it's more on like customer service and not on grade. I do agree there's no accountability on grade. I think you can appeal a grade sometimes, but the fact that they could change their mind right there, it's like, I don't know. It's related to the fact that why does the game exist of crack and regrade, crack and regrade? Try to keep on sending it until you get the grade you want. Please submit again. Like all these things, the reason why these statements, these approaches exist is because they work. They work, not in every case, of course, but they've worked many, many times. Although I just saw a video by, I don't want to get this wrong, so maybe it was a teapot video, not the one that everyone was talking about, but since then, where I think he cracked. I forget exactly what he did, but it was a video that showed, he's cracked a bunch of. He sent no, he did not crack. He had a bunch of cards. He sent them to PSA for a crossover in the slab. And he sent in 20 cards, right? It was 20 cards.
I watched it. Yeah, it was Pokemon cards.
All Pokemon?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I don't remember that part of it, but 20 cards, and I think all but All but one
One.
did not cross over. Right, one crossed over to the minimum grade that he wanted, and I don't think he had any minimum grades that were higher than the grades that the cards were already in. So,
and the one that crossed over was 2 grades lower than the slab that was
right,
crossed over.
It was a 9 to a 7, but he was okay going from like it was. And these weren't all the same grading company. Important to note, I should have said this at the top. They weren't all like PSA cards going to PSA. Were there any PSAs going back to PSA? There were some Beckett, some SGCs, some CGCs, all going to PSA to see how they graded compared. And the highlight there is that there's no a low level of consistency between grading companies, which is just not good for the hobby. Like, it's one thing to want a different to want a different brand for your card, but the hobby is I think it's just disorganized when the grading companies can't even agree on what they should be doing. David?
But you would assume that if you cracked out those slabs, you might have had a better result, right? Which is what everybody was kind of telling him in the chat, in the comment section below, which he didn't want to do because he was scared, because like a difference between a 9 and an 8 is such a big difference in a lot of these cards. So he didn't want to take that chance. But, I also think that PSA is a little elitist, right? They think that they grade a little bit better than everybody else, and maybe they do. But I think that if they see that there's a different a SGC, CGC, or a Beckett slab, I don't think it's going to be very often if you try to cross over that they're going to say, Beckett gave you a 7. We're going to give you a 7.5. I don't think PSA is going to say that to you. You're going to have to crack it out for you to try to get that 7.5.
Yeah. They have to be biased by the grade they see in front of them. And it's good for their brand to not cross it over.
Yeah.
It's just good for their brand. So it's tough. All right, Mr. Texas Snowman, thank you for joining us tonight, buddy. It's been great having you, and good luck with the upcoming monthly auctions on collectorinvestorauctions.com. Everybody go there. If you're not yet registered to bid, and you will be able to bid in the monthly auctions. Are you doing 12 auctions this year, one in every month? I know I've asked you this before, but remind everybody.
Yes, sir. Once a month, first Thursday of the month. Yep, 10 days for 10 days.
All right, and as Double D says, teachers rule this hobby. There are a lot of them.
Yeah,
absolutely. Okay, well, Jeremy, thanks for joining. Say hi to the other Jeremy and everybody over at Collector Investor Auctions, and we'll be in touch, buddy. Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate you.
You take care, pal. All right, guys. Thank you to Jeremy Donson, the Texas Snowman from Collector Investor Auctions. Joe, you've been sitting with us for a few minutes now. Lots of comments there. Any sort of opening response? You were watching a bit before too. Where's your head at, buddy? What have you seen? What's caught your eye so far on the show tonight?
Well, it's all very interesting. The conversations about value and grading and, what we're allowed to feel or not feel about our collections. I don't know. I really liked the other, I think it might have been today even, Mike and Greg were reminding me of some stuff that I think one of them was something that Dr. Beckett said, which was, I don't want to know what cards you're selling. I want to know what cards you're not selling. And then secondly, they made the point that I think it emerged from Hoj. We'll have to ask Hoj later, but it's, I want to collect the cards that the grade doesn't matter. And so it's like the cards that you're just so stoked to own the card. Now, that I'm not saying it's not important to, you want your 53 tops to look pretty well, whatever it is, a maze, a Jackie, a satchel. Of course, there's cards where that kind of matters, but there's also an emerging class of cards, and I would categorize a lot of them in the modern world, but there are some really, pre-war versions of this too that we've seen where just owning the card is an exceptional experience because of scarcity, basically. And when I say scarcity, there's I think a difference between rarity and scarcity, in so much as some cards only come up like once a year. When I got that Isaac Murphy card, the jockey, the first, he was richest black man in the United States in the 1860s. Thanks to Orlando and Greg, I became aware of that card. But that card literally only comes up like once a year, total pop of like 27. So yeah, mine's a 1 or an authentic. I can't even remember because it doesn't matter. I'm just happy with the card. So anyway, that's kind of my response to what I've been hearing tonight, is just leaning back into that area and letting all this other stuff of, values and grading and everything you guys said is true. But
you're kind of saying, let's just go back to the cards, right? Let's just go back to the cards and not worry about what they're worth and not worry about what the grade is. But I don't worry about the grade really at all anymore. I used to worry about the grade. Now I consider it. It comes into it's a factor in my decision making because it happens to be in a slab, and I do like my cards to be slabbed. I mean, that's a weird thing about me. I do like my cards to be slabbed, but it's about owning the card. Page 361 of Pops and Com in the hobby glossary. There's a definition right at the top there. It's called own appeal. This is what Joe was talking about. He's talking about own appeal, not I appeal, own appeal. I'll read the definition. It says the appeal that comes simply from having a copy of a card, regardless of its grade, rarity, or market value. Now, I think, Joe, what you're talking about, it is a bit in regards to rarity, because sometimes it's about owning a card that is super rare, especially in the world of 90s cards and refractors, and that's even in the more modern like auto patch world, which I love auto patches. I got my eyes on some auto patches right now. Even though in the world of auto patches, like sometimes you just want to have the card. There's only 10 of them made. You want to have a copy of the card, and maybe you can't because this is a controversial post I put up on Instagram last week about like if you're hoarding all 10 copies of a card and there's other people that want them for their set or for their player run, and you're hoarding them. It's like, if I find that 10th copy, I'm going to make you pay through the nose to get it, because otherwise it's going to go to a collector who doesn't have a copy yet. You already have 9. Why do you need the 10th copy? Just that's a bit of an aside, but to continue the definition here in the book, the satisfaction lies in ownership itself. The term was coined by Dan Lynch, hobby enthusiast. See also My Appeal. I'm going to read My Appeal as well, because I get to shout out another hobbyist. The definition for My Appeal is a concept that reflects the personal and subjective qualities that make a card appealing to an individual collector. My Appeal is about deciding what you like and why you want to own it, regardless of how the market or grading companies may view the card. The term was coined by Mike Petty, hobby enthusiast.
Yeah.
I love me some Mike Petty.
Yeah, a couple of shout outs there. But I think you make good points there, Joe. And I know they're
not my points. I'm attributing them to Hoj and to Dr. Beckett in the areas of just, but it is, to me, what's fascinating about it, and I'd love to hear David's ideas, is that there's a wide, expansive amount that applies to, including, those really hard to locate early edition, standard caramel or whatever, or maybe it's a T206 plank. There's those kind of cards. And then there's also, like you said, Jay Lee, like, a Playmakers Theater. How cool would it to be, to have a Jordan Playmakers Theater? I wouldn't care if it was in a 4 or a 2 or just authentic if it was a real one. Like, those are cards where it's just like, just to hold it. And as long as it's still, aesthetically pleasing to the eye. And I'm with you. You don't have to apologize. I like my cards slabbed up. I'm gonna hurt the card if I don't have some protection there. So anyway, that's just, again, I think a part of the hobby that we would all do well to sort of re-embrace.
And I think a lot of us are, David.
And to put that in my version of collecting, I'm a Leaf guy, right? A 48 Leaf guy. And those short prints are so obnoxiously hard to find. They go for crazy money. And some of them, they don't go for crazy money, but they just get snatched up. There's like Facebook groups that I'm in. They are literally posted, and like I've posted 3 minutes later and they're all gone for like some of these short print Hall of Famers. I will take one that is run over by a truck, that is cut in half, that is eaten. And I would take that card and love it if I'm able to find one of those cards. So I totally get My Appeal.
Right on. Right on.
Absolutely. And okay, couple comments here that all tie into what we're talking about. First of all, Tony's Tina here says Collector's Universe should be called Collector I don't know if I can read this one. I can't read this one. Sorry. It's a bit, I said to a buddy today whose kid is into baseball cards locally here. And he said, my son's into it. He goes, if your podcast is kid friendly, I'll put him on to it. It's kid friendly. So we're going to keep it kid friendly. But I left it on the screen there though. Bystander says 30 seconds to grade, 6 months to get back. The only thing I want to say about that is that, grading the card is only one part of the process. Grading it goes through several stages. So it's way more than 30 seconds to process the card through the whole system. They have to receive it. They have to unpack it. They have to put it in the right hole. They have to send it to the department. Then they have to go through identification, grading, slabbing, shipping. I'm not making excuses for them. I'm just saying that there's a lot more. Does that add up to 6 months? No. So let's address the 6 month part, because what I just said, I don't know what it adds up to. Maybe a couple hours, like max. Still way far away from 6 months, but they are backed up beyond. Pokemon cards, TCG are just, they're getting slammed by non-sport cards as well. Plus, they're all over the world now. They're all over the world, and that's got to be a tough business to run. I don't envy the PSA right now, except for the money. I envy the money they're making, but I don't envy how it is to run the business. The Grail Chase says, Jeremy, Joe, and David, such a super team. Thank you, Grail. Hoops Hobby Hangout says the amount of money in grading plus the amount of money to be made from grading plus PSA's effective monopoly on grading plus inconsistencies equals too many opportunities and incentives for corruption and distrust. In my opinion, you're not alone in that thinking there at all. Tony Stina says, Jeremy and I had a nice back and forth over hoarding several copies of a card this week. Many collectors do this. Many do, but that was a different scenario than what my post was getting at. My post was really specifically about when there's 10 copies of a card and somebody tries to get all 10 of them, or 5 copies of a card. But if you're talking about hoarding the Kurt Flood card, which I think somebody does, there's a million of them. That's not what I was talking about. But we did have a nice back and forth. Very respectful. Absolutely, Tony. Sovereign Warrior says, for Upper Deck, the Cup Hockey, I prefer looking at them without a slab on them, as do I. Thick cards, I don't need slab. I've got a good sized, like, thick card auto patch collection. A few are slab because I bought them that way, but I've also unslabbed a few of them. But the ones that have high grades, I keep them in the slabs. And then Double D Dylan says, as Mangini has always said, let the card hold the value, not the plastic. Love that comment. Agree with it 100%. And it's like, I don't want to collect cards where 90% of the value is in the holder and not in the card itself. That said, sometimes the value is based on the condition. Really, it is based on the condition, and I will pay more for a nicer card than a less nicer card. Okay, who wants to jump in? I think I saw, was it you, Joe?
I had a question, but it's a little unrelated to what we're talking about at this exact moment. But I haven't seen David since he got back from Disneyland, and then you were able to interview him about the sort of, almost absolution of knowing that perhaps his bid would not have won him the card anyway, which, I think we all slept better after that. But anyway, the question that I wanted to ask David was, what's your next step? I mean, I'm assuming you're in the market for a Leaf Jackie. Am I correct? And what are you doing? Were you snooping around? Are you keeping your eyes out? Or are you kind of just waiting it out a little bit and seeing where the market is? Like, what's going on with you and Jackie?
That's a great question. I'm a creeper. And by the way, there is one little extra step to that story, by the way. On Maddie C's I Appeal website, the gentleman who posted that bought the card, posted that card on there. So I was able to reach out to him, and I actually contacted him to congratulate him for the purchase of how amazing that card was. And we had a little dialogue going back and forth. He was asking me if there's hard feelings. Of course, I was saying no, and congratulations. And I'm just so, I'm happy for him, and that it's, that it's an amazing piece. And so just kind of a little cherry on top to the end of that story. So that was kind of cool for me to be able to do that. If a card comes my way, I would like it. I do have a 48 Leaf Jackie. Okay. But it is a SGC 1.5, which is not I don't care about that. It's beautifully centered, but it does have wear on it, right? Like the picture is worn. And I love the card. It took me 2 years to find that card. So I had the money saved and I looked at every Jackie that came on, and then I found that card and I purchased it. If another card that was a Jackie blew me away, I could be in the market for it. But it's not something that is, my cat just attacked me. It's not something that I am like, actively just trying to find more than anything. I'm kind of at the point now where something has to hit me in the face and I'll be into it. And there's like 7 cards on my list that could do that, by the way. And I don't mind even saying them. A 51 Bowman Mantle, a 33 Gaudy Ruth. I have 0 of the 4 of them. There's cards that are out of reach. The 48 Leaf Page is my forever dream card, but I'm not going to be able to get that card. But and then a 48 Leaf Jackie, if one blew my mind, it could happen. And you know what? I'm going to Strongsville in a few weeks, so who knows? Maybe something could happen there. Keep your fingers crossed for me.
Cat appeal. Nice. Cat appeal says that's great. That's really good, Yankees fan. Speaking of David and the Jackie, Tony says, I was so glad to hear that David's bid would not have won the card. Some consolation, at least. That was, I felt so honored that I got to deliver that news to you, David. Dylan says, Joe's trying to get everyone to buy Jackies hard and fast now. Joe's an influencer, guys. Come on. And Orlando says, agree. I felt so bad for David. Tony says, David needs a nicer Jackie than the one he has. And he said he'll just try and go for it. Oh, Double D says, David just jumped even higher on my favorite collector list with his cat popping in. Love me some cats. Very good. Very good. All right. Well, we're at the bottom of the comments. We've got Josh and Chris will be joining us in about 5 minutes. We'll say goodnight to David at that point. Before we do, David, we have a few minutes left with you. Anything else on your mind that you want to talk about? I know we did kind of go through it earlier, but I'm just trying to think and see if there's anything else we did have on the docket today. I'm going to look up at the title. We haven't even talked about the Whatnot drama yet today. We don't have to talk about it. Like it's not really our domain talking about. I don't buy or sell on Whatnot. I did once. I was actually the very first Canadian ever to do a Whatnot live stream sale. I sold singles at auction. I don't know, maybe 40 or 50 cards, and had a great time doing it. But I just can't handle the shipping aspect of it. It's just not my thing. So I never went and did it again. But I don't know. Did the Whatnot news doesn't impact anybody here, does it? No. Okay.
And it was a letdown. I thought that there was going to be something that was going to blow my mind, and it was basically a BB gun instead of a shotgun that I was expecting.
Yeah, and we talked about it at the top of the show briefly. I think there was a comment. Yeah, we talked about it briefly at the top of the show here tonight. In that, someone asked about Brian Gray kind of hyping up that news the night before, that the biggest news in the history of the hobby. What I will say is that when we talked about it after Brian put that message out there, but before we knew what it was going to be, whether that was talked about here on Sports Cards Live or the next night on one of my Fanatics Collect weekly shows. I was expecting, what I said when I talked about it before we knew what it was, I was saying that I think it's got to be some sort of regulation. What else is bigger? What else is bigger than Fanatics buying tops in the history of the hobby? What else is bigger than that? What else is bigger than collectors buying PSA? What else is bigger than Fanatics getting the baseball and basketball licenses from Panini? Like, those are, to me, way bigger than there being some arbitration claims against Whatnot. To me, it's like, that was disappointing. The way Brian kind of teed that up, Brian Gray, I was expecting there to be regulation about to come down on something in the hobby, and there wasn't. So anyway, that
it might have been more. It actually would have probably meant more to us if that didn't happen, that if it wasn't the hype, it would have been like, oh wow, that's interesting, that finally something came out. But because we were all expecting something huge, it was like hearing it and then being like, okay, is that all that I'm hearing? All right.
Yeah, it was like a relief almost, like, okay, let's carry on.
Yeah. Well, Chris, he says casinos are regulated, monopolies in the hobby are not. Breaking isn't.
Jay Lee,
Yo.
I wanted to give you kudos because I got a chance to check in with David there, but I didn't get a chance to check in with you about your experience in New York City with Adam, the Real 27 guy. I just want to say you guys took it to a new level. And as you know, I had a school engagement. I think I got in around 9:30 California time, and you guys had clearly been going for a while. And you were pretty fired up. I was like, damn, did he have an espresso or something? Like you were amped up.
I was, man. I was riding a high being there. Absolutely. I was ramped up.
And I was trying to figure out what was different about the show. And it took me a little bit because I had just been in this whole work world mode. And then all of a sudden I was like, wait, Adam and Jay Lee are like sitting next to each other. Like they're not on different screens. They're actually physically next to each other. And then when I saw you guys, somebody did an IG post and you know, I know you're a, you know, 6'6" on a small day, but I've never met Adam in person. So I'm seeing him. He must be what, about 6'5"?
Yeah, I think he's like, 6'4". He's probably an inch and a half shorter than me. He's tall too.
But anyway, that's just I wanted to give you a shout out. The way you guys covered that show, I think took auction narration to an even higher level. And the cards in that auction were they were just pretty fascinating, right? To kind of look at them and see what was happening, just a wide array of cards. And then obviously the Shohei and the Judge, just like inviting all kinds of, you know, important conversations. Got me excited for baseball season. So great job. And I hope, I think that's great that's been memorialized. And I hope Fanatics considers bringing you guys back in for a similarly important auction and moment in the hobby.
Well, thanks, Joe. I appreciate the kudos. And I mean, had so much fun doing it. And yeah, I was hyped up. We were hyped up for sure. I was especially hyped up. It was funny at the we talked about this a bit earlier. We'll switch guests in just a moment, guys. But I remember at the beginning, I didn't lead off the show. Hunter, who works for Fanatics and is a part of the Fanatics Live platform, he led off the show talking to the Fanatics Live group. And then I started talking and I was super pumped and excited and loud. And then Adam started talking and he was like so subdued. It was like we went volume 10, volume 10, volume 5. It was pretty funny. But you know, that's just a personality thing and how we are. But it was a ton of fun. We talked about it at the top of the show tonight a little bit, but it was a lot of fun. It was different too. There was, you know, we've never opened packs on a show and it's not really our forte, but I enjoyed seeing some of these new cards that I've just never seen. I don't open modern products. So it was nice to open and see some of these cards and see the designs coming out of Topps. And I genuinely really liked the looks of some of these cards. Some of them I was like, oh, that's kind of weird, but you know, I'm not going to sit there and say, oh, that's kind of weird, but some of them were a little bit weird, but I did like, for the most part, the designs on most of those cards. They were pretty cool. And some of the autographs were beautiful.
I almost made an impulsive bid. I don't know if you remember this. It was a card that got a few bids late, and it has, you know, some connection to the Ontario show because our dear friend Tony, Southern Collector, picked up an Upper Deck Flight School card. But there was a Flight School card there that was like hovering in the high teens, low 20s, and it, you know, it was just I forget what the issue was, but it was a nice auto. And anyway, I was pretty tempted there to pull it in. It had all the credentials and everything. So
what happened? Why didn't you buy it?
No, I couldn't do it. I'm in a war chest time. I gotta gather resources. But it was intriguing. Do you remember that card, Jay Lee? I think you shouted it out once or twice. The Jordan Flight School.
I couldn't. It seemed to be way low in price to me for what it was. But here's the thing, because we were also streaming on Fanatics Live, I couldn't really opine on what a good value is and that kind of thing. I was really trying to like express my thoughts, but not really like say, oh, this seems way undervalued, because what if it wasn't? Like, what if for some reason it wasn't and someone bought it because I said it was undervalued? But to me, I thought that was a $250,000 card and it was at $40,000. So I was very just taken aback by the low price on that card, and the auto looked good. We're talking about an autographed 86 Fleer Michael Jordan rookie card, basically. So, okay, we're going to switch it up. David, thank you again, buddy. We'll see you most likely next week. Thanks for joining.
Definitely.
As always.
Thank you all. Great to see you, Joe. Great
Good to see you.
Jeremy.
Have a good evening. Happy weekend. Take care.
Thank you. Bye,
Take
guys.
care, buddy.
All right. Let's see in the chat. Nothing there we're going to get to right now. We are now going to bring on Mr. Chris. Oh, there you are. He's on without warning. Chris McGill is the triumphant return. How are you, buddy?
Great to be back. Great show so far. Got some topics that I hope I get a chance to weigh in on when time permits.
Well, we'll get right into that. But before we do that, let's bring on also a regular here on the show, none other than Mr. Joshua Adams, everybody, with a new ring light as well. How are you, buddy?
Hi, Jeremy, Christopher, Joe. Nice to see you guys. Happy weekend.
Happy weekend.
Go Illini. It's very exciting. March Madness weekend.
This is the old crew. Chris has been away for a little bit. Joe's been in and out. This is we're getting back to where we've been for quite a while. So nice to have you all on the screen, all of us together here again. Joe, anything you want to say before we go to some topics?
Oh, no, it's nice to be on the late side again. You know, I was holding down the early side, but now I feel like I'm back with my people. I'm back with my tribe. What's up, Josh? Good to see you. What's up, Ho?
What's up?
All right, guys. So, well, let's go to you, Chris. You've been watching. Have you been in from the beginning? And if you have, welcome. And yeah, jump in, man. What do you want? What's on your mind?
Yeah, I've been watching from the beginning, and I really liked the value shaming. First of all, I like that as a term. Okay, I like that as a term, value shaming. And it's an interesting topic. I haven't been really privy to the other content that's been discussing it. This show was kind of like my first introduction to it. So if I say something that somebody else has covered, apologies for that. Not trying to plagiarize any material here. And also so basically, like, let me start here. Okay. On the value thing, I'm not asking anybody to agree with me. All right. I'm not saying that, I'm not telling anybody, any other collector, any of my friends here on stage, I'm not telling you what I think you should do. And I try to really, really make a habit out of not doing that. Anytime I opine on something, I try to phrase it simply as, this is what I do, and that's it. No judgment if you do it a different way, or if you do it a different way, I'd love to know about it. Maybe you could teach me something. So let's start there. This isn't a lecture. This isn't me telling anybody else how they do it, but this is how I see it. First of all, I'm with the value shamers, I think, more than not. So I'm kind of coming at this from a different side than maybe the earlier portion of the show was. I'm not really into value talk.
Why are you telling me how to feel, Chris?
Stop talking about value. I'm not really into the value talk. I do like it in moderation. I do think it's interesting, but here's the zag that I take on that. I think value should be obvious. Okay? I think if we're talking about cards properly, value is a superfluous addition to the conversation. If we're properly explaining what cards are, what their significance is, where they rank in the hierarchy and the constellation of all of the cards that are known to humankind, then discussions about value shouldn't even be necessary. We should already have a really strong intuition about what the value is because of how we've already understood the fundamentals of what the card is. So, and I think what happens a lot of times in value discussions, I find myself slipping into this sort of shortcut that I shouldn't be taking, which is I'll use the value to sort of try and make the point that this card is really great. But that's putting the cart before the horse. Just because a card has a high value doesn't mean that the market has properly appraised it. Doesn't mean that I've properly appraised it. It doesn't mean that it's anything other than maybe two different bidders made mistakes and what drove up a comp on a card. Or on the contrary, maybe the value is quite in line with where I think. But the point is that the value is after the fact. The value is the output of the discussion. When value becomes an input in the way I discuss cards, I'm being mentally lazy and I'm not doing the work that I should be doing to properly explain what a card is. So let me start there. I'm kind of with the value shamers a little bit. But here is the other part of the topic, and then I'll stop. The other part of the topic is there's a great quote in politics, and I looked it up before I came on the show, and apparently it's attributed to Pericles. And the quote is,
oh yeah, Pericles. We haven't he hasn't texted me in a long time.
Paradise. Okay. 500 BC. He said, "You might not take an interest in politics, but politics takes an interest in you." And I think that applies to value, even to the value shamers, even to people like me who aren't super interested in discussions being the beginning, middle, and end, being all about value. Because the idea here is that you might not, or I might not take an interest in value, but card value definitely takes an interest in me, because value is the power that I have as a collector to shape my collection as time goes on. And that's not anything profound or some great observation. I mean, you guys were observing it throughout the course of the show, talking about how the value of cards, or sort of using card equity to buy and sell cards to improve our collections and stuff. I mean, this is something that many of us do. But that's the power of value, and the power of knowing the value of a card is that if I have a card, let's say, that's worth $200, and Joe has a card that's worth $100, and I really like Joe's card, I can sell my card. I can buy a copy of Joe's card for $100, and I still have $100 left over to get a different card. Value can let me be dynamic and change the composition of my collection if I have an understanding of it and understanding of how it works. So as collectors, or as a collector myself, even if I'm not overly concerned with value, even if I want the discussion to be focused on things otherwise, and even if I think values are way out of whack with how I prioritize and value cards personally, that value still takes an interest in me. That value is still going to be influential on how I shape and compose my collection. That's it.
Yeah, no, good stuff, man. I mean, this is high level thinking right here, and I don't know that I was able to keep up through that whole dissertation there. I mean, I hear what you're saying, and I think Joe and Josh hear you as well. I assume, because they don't look as confused as I might feel. I'm just kidding. But the one thing that came to mind when you were saying that, when you were saying at the beginning of that about how the value should be the output, not the input, and if you understand the card, then the value is a consequence of the card, sort of thing. But what if you don't understand the card that well? Like, and another part of the topics for today, we're going to be like, what is an advanced collector? And you might have just helped me define what an advanced collector is. I don't think an advanced collector is someone who just has deep wallets that can go be number one on the set registry for all their interests. I mean, that just means you are a rich collector. Does not mean you are an advanced collector. I think what you just tapped into, Chris, ties into that discussion that I was hoping to have tonight, and I think you just gave me the doorway back to that, because I think that if you are I think one of the features of an advanced collector, or a criteria for being an advanced collector, is that you might be where you're saying that you think you should be, not where you think you should be. To be an advanced collector, a requirement might be that you understand a card so well that the value kind of flows out from it. You understand not only a card, but all of the substitutes for that card. Because you also often say, Chris, that, and one of my favorite things that you say, one of my favorite Hoge teachings is that if you are going to start collecting a player, or you see a card you like, before you jump in, especially if it's a lot of money, and the money is gonna, is important to you, understand the full menu of cards available for that player. I come up against that all the time when I see a card I like, and I'm like, well, but wait, is that the one I should be buying? Is that the one not the one I should be buying, but is that the one that I would like the most if I saw everything out there for that same dollar value, sort of thing? So an advanced collector, I think, is somebody who is where you are talking about that you are going to be, which is at the point where the value emanates from the card not the card emanating from the value.
Perfect, Jeremy.
But not everyone is there. And I think very few people are there. Very few people in this hobby. And I think it's a trend that's getting more popular now, but I think very few people are as in tune and understand a card, where it fits in the overall spectrum of the cards for that player or within that set. Not only that, but, you know, like having certain insights, like what were the pack odds? Like, is it a short print within the set? Dr. Beckett often talks about the high numbers and how much harder the high numbers were. I wouldn't know a high number from a low number from the 1971 top set sort of thing. If they even had them in 71, there's a year where they stopped doing the series and all that. So yeah, man, I love what you're saying. My only minor pushback is that value doesn't always emanate from the card, because all collectors are not at the same place in their evolution of being an expert or an advanced collector. I'll stop there and let you come back, and then let's go to Joe and Josh for their thoughts.
I just want to reiterate the quote, because you said it better than I ever have, and you were just going off the cuff, and you were in your flow state. And you said the value emanates from the card, not the card emanating from the value. That's it.
That's what you said. Listen, I'm going to throw that back to the credit for that quote back to you, because that's how I was just trying to repeat what you said.
You did it. You distilled it. You compressed it into an aphorism that I'm going to quote later.
Aphorism. Joe, please. Can you define aphorism for me, please?
A short, wise saying.
Thank you.
That's right. Nietzsche had a bunch of aphorisms.
Thank you, Joepedia. Okay, back to you, Chris.
Well, and in this case, going under in the general canon of Hoge teachings.
Yeah, canon. I love it.
The Hoge teachings. Don't follow those too closely, folks.
So is that your complete response to that? Because
yeah.
I really,
yes,
I appreciate the comments about that emanating, how I said that, but also I'm almost more interested, not in the value aspect of the discussion, but the advanced collector aspect of the discussion. That's something that I was thinking about over the last couple of days, and was wondering, like, what is an advanced collector? What is an and it's real, like what does that mean? Someone who's been in the collecting for 40 years. I mean, you can still be a hobby simpleton, but having collected for 40 years, just because you're in the hobby doesn't make you an advanced collector. But the term advanced collector has been around longer than grading companies have been around. So I kind of wonder what that term means to people, but we don't have to deviate too much from the value piece yet. Let's go to Joe and Josh for their thoughts on this. Joe, do you have anything to question, add, supplement at this point to this current line? And Josh, if you do too, just put up your finger, guys, if either of you do. Joe.
I'm ready to go.
Oh, yes, please. Okay. You could put up your finger 15 seconds ago.
I have some notes here. I don't know if it's on Saturday night. I kind of keep up with everything. But Jeremy, you stole most of my thunder. Where I was going to go actually was that Hoge's original question, and the way that he framed it really, I think, prioritizes something that our good friend Carvin Chung always says: do your research. You know, so much of our own appreciation of a card and understanding of a card, and in the best of circumstances, you know, the possession of a card comes after you've done a whole lot of due diligence around where the card fits, you know, what its context is, what it's in relation to. Just to think that a card exists in a vacuum, you're missing out on so much more rich and hopefully, you know, joyful discovery. I mean, that's, you know, and people talk about like market inefficiencies, but I think a lot of collectors have the kind of brain, like, this doesn't necessarily have to be a completely financial thing. Like, to me, there's a puzzle involved in looking at these kind of ratios, and like, well, if this is going for this and that is going for that, and this has this amount of pop, like, my brain enjoys going down those rabbit holes and thinking about them, not just because there's a pot of gold at the end of it, but because in doing so, if and when I do finally actualize the card, I'm that much more enriched from a hobby perspective, not necessarily a financial perspective, but enriched in knowing that I own one of these and I understand its value and its importance. So that was one point I wanted to make. The other point was, Hoj teachings. Some of this conversation actually brings me back to the House of Jordans. And I believe there was a quote that emerged from the House of Jordans that I can't quite get my brain around. But now that Jeremy has just distilled this other new aphorism, I think you even made a T-shirt of it, Hoj. Do you remember the quote?
Yeah. I know what you're talking about. It's actually from the early days of the crossover back from 2020.
The crossover. Okay. I thought it was all the way back to House of Jordans, but I think it had its germination in House of Jordan. But go ahead. What is the quote?
It was we don't like sports cards because they're good investments. They're good investments because we like sports cards.
Wasn't that a Josh? That was a Josh Johnson.
That was a Josh Johnson aphorism.
Original. Yeah.
A teaching from the Cardboard Chronicles school.
And that's the value emanates from the card. I mean, it's a different way of expressing it. It's a different positionality, I suppose. But I think back in those days too, we used to talk a lot about the importance of every card having a home. And I haven't heard that talked about as much lately. Not sure why, but we always used to think about that as like the true sign of something being solvent and having kind of market sustainability, was like somebody wants to own it. Somebody wants it in their collection. They don't want to like own it so they can flip it or move it along. They want to own it and hold on to it, like with that, diamond fingers that some people like to talk about and that exist out there.
I was listening to Stacking Slabs with Brett McGrath. This is a few months ago now, and he had on Tim Getch, founder of ComC, who put it this way, Joe, what you're saying. Tim I wrote it down at the time, and I still remembered. He said, for cards to have value, collectors have to want to take them off the market. It goes to what Dr. Beckett says. I want the cards you're not selling more than the cards you are selling. But with the only flaw with Dr. Beckett's statement is that people often sell cards they'd rather not sell, but they have to for reasons, right? So not really. His point is well taken, but people often sell cards they don't want to sell, especially when they're going through some consolidation sort of thing. A lot of comments I want to get to in the chat, but Joe, were you done?
I'm all good with one question, since I don't think I heard it. Could someone inform me, when we say value shaming, what are we actually talking about?
I think that's a great question. I think we're just talking about it's almost a response to some narrative that's been out there in hobby content recently that is shaming. It's not I don't know, shaming might be too strong of a word, but kind of not agreeing with people just always talking about the value of their cards or being driven by the value of cards. But I mean, listen, it's value, cost, money is so intertwined. You can't get cards without money in most cases, and we work, like I said earlier in the show, we work for our money. We exert energy and resources and take time away from family to make money. If we're going to put it into cards, I mean, don't you kind of have a bit of respect for that money? Some people just don't. They're okay, and that's all good. We're not going to shame people for how they collect. I kind of do break that rule sometimes a little bit, just when it comes to the, being so grade blind that you don't even look at the card. I don't mind being a little bit rude that way, but anyway, let's go to Josh and see did that answer your question, Joe?
Yeah, I just wanted a general context. Perfect.
Let's get Josh and Chris. I feel like you might have a bit of a response to Joe, but let's go to Josh first.
I was going to answer Al from Love of the Game answer the way I was going to answer in the chat.
We will get to his comment shortly. So let's see. Chris, do you have some? Never mind. We'll just do that now. So it's this one here. Is it this one here, Josh? Okay, let me read.
Yep.
Al, are we sure this is Al?
Yeah, I'm texting him right now.
Oh, good. Okay. Hello, Al. Al says, I've always used the term advanced collector to describe the depth of knowledge about what they collect. It's never had anything to do with value for me. It's more about experience. And in parentheses, hi guys. I noted that comment a few minutes ago when I saw it pop up, and because I wanted to just completely agree with it. That actually that articulates what I was thinking about, and I think I said it a little bit earlier, maybe not in these exact words, but yeah, completely. I think it makes sense. Josh, do you?
That's what I was going to say. Like, stole my thunder. So that's exactly how I look at advanced collectors. So
I think that makes a lot of sense. It's putting in the work and the time to understand what it is you're buying, what it is you're collecting. Yeah. That it might be just as simple as that. I feel like that's it almost took the steam out of the conversation, because he just, as Chris would say, distilled it down to its core essence, and now we have it there. So Chris, back to you for any response to Joe or Al or Josh or myself.
Great comment from Al. So many great comments, honestly, tonight that I'm like jotting some of them down in case we come back to them. But the one that I wanted to, I was like noodling on what does an advanced collector mean to me, because I've never really tried to define that before. And what I came up with was like this. I think that I would recognize, because an advanced collector, I was just thinking, like, do you just kind of know one when you see one? Like, how would I know if I was just talking to somebody, and I would know pretty quickly if they're an advanced collector? And I think what that means is, like, I think there's two parts to that. I think I would know that I'm dealing with an advanced collector. And there's been like several comments that have sort of pointed out that you could be advanced in one domain and remedial in another. And I think that's totally true. Like, sometimes I'll be talking to Joe about like select zebras or something, and we're just nerding out about some like ultra modern parallels. And then like he'll shift the discussion to maybe like Jackie Robinson cards. And I go from being pretty advanced talking about ultra moderns, like very remedial, talking about the Jackies, and I'll just say something to Joe. I'll be like, what about them Bond breads, Joe? And I don't really know that much about any of that stuff. I just like to throw a little wrench into things and see what happens. So I am a living, walking example of somebody who can be remedial, and I know I'm remedial in plenty of areas. But anyway, the idea of an advanced collector, okay, I think there's two parts. I think an advanced collector I could give them a card, and they could look at the card, and they could give me an elevator pitch about it. That captivates me, and that gives me a 30,000-foot view of what this card means and why it matters and what makes it special and how it relates to other cards. So there's the first part, is like they can give me an elevator pitch. And then there's a second part, which is that they could also make a mini documentary about it if they wanted to. They could make a 20-minute PBS special that goes into great depth about all the different things they find interesting in the card. The card is numbered to this particular base set, and it comes from that base set comes from a product that came out in this year, and other products that came out in this year are these, and this is where this product is perceived as ranking among the others, and here are the other variations that this card had, or the parallels that it had, and here's why I like the photo of the card, or here's where that season sits in that player's legacy and how it impacts their resume, and here's the cards that came before it, and here's the cards that came after it, and here's how they all tie together. I mean, just thinking about how somebody could give you like a 15-minute spiel about the card if they wanted to, because there's so much, honestly, any card offers so much content when you really start thinking about all the different pieces of information that it contains. So to me, that's when I would say I'm comfortable calling somebody an advanced collector, is when they can do both of those things. They can give me the elevator pitch about a card, and they could give me the script to the documentary too. Yeah,
well said. And I wanted to get this in earlier, but you were on such a roll there. This comment from Dylan, he says the same thing you said. Part of it, he says, I can be both an advanced collector in some of my collections and an accumulator with zero knowledge in another. And then the other thing to add, so I think Dylan's absolutely correct. And I don't think there is anybody out there who is an advanced collector in everything. I mean, there's too much out there. So you can be an advanced collector in your specialty, just like you can be a senior doctor in radiology, or a specialist in certain things, but you're not a specialist in other areas of medicine, right? I don't know that anyone's a specialist in all areas of medicine, or all areas of finance, or all areas of the hobby, right? I think that's seems pretty simple there to me. So yeah, I think what you're right. You were using the term remedial, Chris. I think that's absolutely correct. And even 40 plus years in the hobby, I think I'm an advanced collector in certain areas. But you know what? I love the areas I'm remedial in, because I'm learning, I'm discovering, and it gives me the opportunity to study and become familiar, learn the menu. You know, I've picked up 2 new lanes in the last 6 or 7 months, and I'm having a blast discovering more and more cards in those lanes and seeing them. And I don't find that I need to become advanced before I dive in. I would rather dive in many cases, you know, and listen, if I'm spending thousands of dollars, I'm going to get as advanced as I can before I start deploying. But if I'm picking up cards for $5 to $50, I'm going to have some fun and, you know, maybe make a few mistakes along the way, move out of those cards, put them into other cards as I learn more and more. So great comments there. Joe?
I was thinking just about this in relation to the dichotomy between vintage and ultra modern, because of what Chris was saying earlier, and you know, how we kind of like, you know, almost code switch in our collecting moments. And I had this sudden sort of thought, and you know, hear me out here. This is off the cuff. It's not like some big theory it literally just came to me. But in the same way that like Prism, let's just say, you know, a 2024 Prism basketball has, you know, like out of 299, out of 249, out of 199, out of 175, out of 50, all the way down to, you know, a 1 of 1, maybe like, you know, a Black Snake 1 of 1, like maybe 4 1 of 1s now, 5 1 of 1s. I don't know. I suddenly had this thought about like vintage, like that is a version of collecting that people without a whole lot of knowledge, at least coming into it, can wrap their heads around. Like they can think about, okay, this is out of this many cards. In the realm of vintage, it suddenly occurred to me, especially with this, you know, eye appeal movement, that there are versions of like of 49, of 99, of 150 in relation to eye appeal and condition, right? Which starts to, you know, it begs the question of like, do you buy into this idea of manufactured scarcity, which, you know, I'm not a big fan, but I've also, you know, I go back and forth between the idea of, do I like the term manufactured scarcity or do I not? But in the land of vintage, I think maybe why vintage collectors, including myself, have some degree of hubris around their own collecting sensibilities is that they've been doing the thing that the ultra modern stuff has sort of ushered in a more kind of just perfunctory, like it's on the back of the box. This is your odds, and this is the card that will be deemed more valuable, you know, plus or minus some, you know, team color matches. So I think about that because that's a lot of where my brain is. That's where a lot of where my collecting, the conversations I have with friends, especially around vintage cards, is like, what kind of card are you getting in that range? And it doesn't always equate to the actual grade on the slab. In fact, that's almost secondary to, are the qualities of this card? And then if you translate that into an ultra modern sensibility, that might be like an of 20. That might be a zebra or a tiger stripes that's like, we're not quite sure, it's in the 25 to 30 range. So anyway, I've been thinking about that because I'm always toggling between the ultra modern, the modern, and then the vintage world.
Because you collect all the eras, right? And as you're going through that, Joe, I'm thinking that there's the amount of information and knowledge that you need to accumulate to be an advanced collector for, let's say, the decade of the 50s, or let's even say the 50s and the 60s, is about the same amount of information that you need to know to be an advanced collector for 2019. You know, like 20 years of vintage is probably less. There's fewer cards, fewer variations, fewer differences than there are in 1 year in ultra modern. So it's very difficult to
but within that, like, as you know, like there are certain cards, you know, like a 66 Maze #1 in the top set, super hard to find centered. It's almost always got tilt, right? It's almost always got like a weird diamond shape to it. So within that, but I agree with you, like the suite or the sort of catalog of a 2019 year between all the different brands and then all the different, like it's massive. It's encyclopedia.
Parallels. Yeah, absolutely. Okay, I'm going to run through a few comments here, guys, from the chat. So Tony here says an advanced collector is over 50. That's one way of looking at it. Cage says, I'm the opposite. I'm a delayed collector. For the game says there is 2 advanced collectors, vintage and modern. The few may understand both types. I think there's levels of being advanced as well. So I do somewhat agree with this, but I think that it's a bit too general to be all encompassing. But I hear what For the Game is saying. David Cooey says, Hoj, I would hold your umbrella for you in a rainstorm. That's just very nice. Just a really nice comment for the night here. Chris C says, pack odds are one of my factors, understanding them. High Pop Professor says, I always look at the pack odds and I put them on my Mag Pro labels. In fact, I'm making Mag Pro labels at this very moment. Because you know what? Right now, High Pop Professor Brian is hobbying. That's how you hobby. You make Mag Pro holders. Mookie says, advanced collectors have yellow top loaders. That's a good one. Foul Ball says, centering is overrated and is being a snob of the hobby. I think it's a preference. I think we all have our preferences. So I don't know if centering, if you can absolutely say the centering is overrated. I think you can say that I think what you can say is that centering is not as important to me, but if it's important to you, that's okay. I think it's important to some people. Rated Rabbi David says, I differentiate between worth and value to help me understand my motivations. I've heard him say this before. I think of worth as what a card commands. Value is what a card personally means to me, sometimes informed by worth. So what he's saying is that value encompasses more than just what the price is, but that is a part of it. And that comment came up earlier. A very similar comment came up earlier. I just forget who the commenter was. Midlife Greg says, don't mind me. I'm still searching for my dictionary, which you need to do in the third hour of Sports Cards Live. Hobby with Cage says it's the house of Jokic now, no longer the house of Jordan. I want to shout out Cage because, as many of you guys know, I go for my walks, and Cage loves on his podcast to talk about Jeremy going for his walks. But I go for my walks, and I listen to podcasts. And since episode 300 of the Hobby with Cage, I've been listening intently to his podcasts, and I've really been enjoying them. They're 15, 20 minutes long. So I want to shout out the Hobby with Cage. It's one of my favorite podcasts to listen to. Now, and Cage and I, we haven't always seen eye to eye either, so this might surprise some people, but we're seeing eye to eye right now, and his podcasts have been great lately. David Cooey says, advanced collectors focus on eye appeal. I don't know. I mean, I see Chris is nodding. I think it's one way you can consider that being advanced, but is that a prerequisite for being an advanced collector? Because don't forget, what about own appeal? Some people just want to own the card. You can own the card and have all the knowledge. Chris, jump in.
I think Josh beat me to it. Let Josh, if Josh wants to go, and then I'll go.
Yeah, okay. I mean, in terms of eye appeal has always been a thing. So I don't know why this is like new all of a sudden. But I mean, I focus on the totality of the card. If I like it, I really don't care if it's off centered but no creases, that's cool. But if it's got rounded corners but no holes, that's fine. You know what I mean? Like, it's like a totality of the circumstances. So I think advanced collector doesn't necessarily can be pegged into one specific category.
You balance all the factors, Your Honor.
Exactly. It's a balancing test. Oh my God.
This before you go, Chris, this is a topic that I'd love to watch some response videos to this topic. What is the advanced collector? Because again, I didn't introduce the topic tonight with an answer. I have a thought on it, but I'm learning so much from what people are saying in the chat and what the panel has been saying so far. I'd like to hear from more people who can flesh out their thoughts more completely by having more time than just typing a few words into the chat. Chris, back to you.
Christina thought she got a zinger in there, but she spelled it wrong. But it was a good try. We know what she was going for.
Well said, Christina.
We get
not
it.
Well spelled, but well said.
Well said. She got the word right. Okay. Okay. So I do agree that with the comment that said you probably need to know eye appeal to be an advanced collector, and here's why. How could you make sense of valuations and condition discussions and taking the population of a card and sort of sorting it and figure out which copy might be preferable to another without being fairly well versed in the idea of eye appeal? I think it'd be quite difficult to make sense of the collecting landscape, particularly in the arenas of vintage and pre-war, without understanding those concepts.
Chris, I completely agree. It comes down to understanding the card and just how it fits overall and the various versions of it. And I appeal is that it comes down to versions. The comment that came up earlier, though, my understanding of it wasn't that you didn't understand it. It was that, it was right here. David Cooey said, advanced collectors focus on eye appeal. I think what to reconcile his comment with yours, it would be advanced collectors understand eye appeal, but you don't have to focus on it to be an advanced collector, to my point earlier. But if you understand, because you can understand it, but maybe you can't afford it, or maybe you just don't care. Maybe, you can still be an advanced collector and not buy cards with eye appeal, because you could, again, simply just want to have own appeal. You might be a collector who just wants to own the card. So, Josh, are you just agreeing, or you want to say something?
Yeah, I was on mute. Yeah, no, I think it's the own appeal, however you want to call it, is like if I want to get a copy of like a Nagurski, I'm not looking for a 5, because it's not. I've had 48 leaf pages in ones, and they were great, and I was fine with that. I really don't care about the grade. I just want a copy of the card.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that comes down to what Joe talked about earlier about Dr. Beckett. Was it Dr. No, not one of Dr. Beckett's comment. The comment about there's this movement towards just owning the card. Maybe it was David Chase earlier, actually, in the night, about just owning the card versus worrying about what it's graded. Sometimes you just want to own cards that are rare, and the I think this might have been a reference to something Chris had said or has talked about, but I think this is not a new topic either. I think a lot of us, you just want to sometimes, when there's only 25, 50, 100 copies of a card, sometimes you just want to own the card. Just because we have laughing on the screen, we have to address the laughing. Christina's PC says, number 1, I'm dyslexic jerk face. Number 2, holistic is a variant of holistic coined in the 1920s. And I'll add number 3, Christina's sounding very sophisticated, like Joe Poirot right now with these definitions and numbering her comments here.
She went and looked it up. She went, like Carvin said, she did the research.
But she also presented it in a very organized fashion. I want to say thank you. This was a very easy comment for me to address to the crowd. Okay, Joe, you wanted to jump in.
Well, she used a comma as what they would call an apostrophe, which is a direct address with the jerk face. So I give her credit for proper punctuation. I don't know. This is a great conversation. I think where I was going to go was just maybe inviting Hoj to give us just like you did such a great job with the Jokic drop the other night. And so much of it had to do with, cards and the metrics and this, that, and the other. But then at the end, like you kind of made this almost the tertiary point of it was like, and then I'm going to talk a little sports. And I was like, no, to me, the part is the sports is, especially if you're collecting active players, like that's huge in the whole mix of it. So one component that I would put in there with advanced collecting is people that actually understand the game and what's going on out there as much as what's going on in there, because, the whole, like, I think see around corners and, or, interpret. And this is where there are aspects of gambling. We think of gambling a lot in terms of like breaks and breakers or busting wax, but there's prospecting and, or what we might consider, like Jay Lee, you never get into a player too early. Like, I don't think you have a Celebrini card yet, but there will be a moment, I predict, where you will get a Celebrini card, and you will get it with so much more information in terms of what's available and what he's going to end up being as a player when you do decide to do that. And you will be putting the full force of your hockey wisdom and experience to bear. So I think that can be part of an advanced collector mindset as well, is just, understanding the sport.
Man, there's right. Like my mind is continuing to be blown as we expand on this definition and all the various criteria. It's to the point now where you can you can lay out what an advanced, not what an advanced collector is, but what an advanced collector could be with a whole bunch of criteria and check boxes. And like, you know, maybe there's 50 different things that would go into being the complete, the highest level of advanced collector, the apex collector, let's call it, or something like that. But, you know, you can just check the boxes that like, yeah, got it. Nope, not there yet. Got it. Like there's so many things that can go, so many criteria that could end up going into the overall, the maximum definition of what an advanced collector is. So, and I thought Dylan Double D said, I'd like to do a response video to this topic for sure. I hope he does. I think he's left now. I'd love to do it, but let's go to a few more comments here. BW says, I looked up advanced collector in the dictionary. There's a picture of Hoj. Just FYI. Thank you for that, BW. And I mean, his videos are evidence of that. His Hojcasts are evidence of that. Tony here says, it's funny that almost my top however many cards videos are centered on value. It's hard to ignore value totally. That which is valuable is typically more universally valued by the average collector. And he's right. Tony's right, because, you know, I remember when Adam Gray, I first discovered he would do his annual top 100 card countdown on Instagram, and he organized it by value. But asking him about that, he said, it's just easier. You don't have to sit there and, is this card number 26 or 27 on my list? And, you know, like, so it is just an easier way to do it. And earlier this year, or maybe it was at the end, it was like the top 25 videos, or the videos, there were several, you know, top however many cards in my collection videos at the end of last year. A lot of people do these every year.
More than several.
And a lot of them were based on card ladder values. I think Greg did his that way. I think I saw Dan do one that way. Saw several of them come out that way. It just gives you something to use instead of having to kill your brain on ranking them by your own favorites. It's just an option to do it. Yeah, Josh.
I'm going to be devil's advocate here. Isn't that just laziness then? All you got to do is look up a price.
It might be laziness, but it also might be, I don't have the time to sit there and go through it. You know, it might be, well, I mean, you don't know how much time people have all the time.
Well, I'm going to, again, play devil's advocate. You have time to make 50 videos in a week. You've got time to sort of make one as opposed to 50 small ones. But that's besides the point.
No, but hold on. Let me just say, because I don't know, because I've thought about doing it. And then I'm like, how in the world am I going to rank my favorite cards? I love so many of them. Like, I don't want to spend, so it just takes me out of I just don't even do the videos. I could easily do it if it was value though.
But also, it's kind of like ranking WAR in baseball, which I'm not a big fan of that. But usually the top players in WAR are also the top hitters. So if you rank your top, if I'm explaining correctly, if you rank your top cards, they're probably going to be top value anyway. Like, do you have a card in your top 10 that's your favorite that is worth like less than $10? I mean, I do. I'm sure you do too, actually.
I'm not sure. I've never. People always say, "What's your favorite card?" I hate the question. What's my favorite card? I just go to, you know, I go to whatever's my favorite at the time, or, you know, I kind of have a couple go Jackie or Babe Ruth or Joe Jackson, which are among my most, well, Joe's definitely my most valuable, but Jackie and Babe aren't. So, I mean, they're valuable, but they're not my most. So I love a lot of cards, man. I don't like ranking my cards. That's why going by value just takes, I don't have to say, do I like which kid do you like more? No, I like both my kids. Who's older? Okay, I can do that. I can rank them by age because one came out first, you know, sort of thing.
Well, we challenge you, Jay Lee. The community challenges you to move forward and go beyond just the mere valuation. This is not a value shame moment, but it is. We believe in you. I think you can do it. I think you could do it.
Well, I would have to start now, but the problem is that there's still 9 months left this year where the things could move around, right?
Yeah.
Greg here says, Josh just called me lazy. Not sure I've ever been called lazy in my entire life. Greg's pumping out so much content. It's you know what, Josh? It's a shortcut. That's all it is a shortcut, but not a shortcut out of laziness. It's a shortcut because people are busy.
So getting back,
you're flying all over the country defending people, you know, practicing law. Where's yours? You know?
I can do it in 5 minutes because I have them ranked. I know exactly what cards I like are my favorite. 1990 Leaf Frank Thomas is my favorite card of all time. Done. It's worth like $3. There you go. Your favorite card. I don't care what it's worth.
Wow, that's impressive.
Guys, that's a criteria for being an advanced collector. How quickly can you rank your cards by favorite?
I mean,
okay. Go ahead.
Well, I guess I mean, in the same spirit that we were talking about graders having rubrics to know what standards they're using, I think all of us would have to start with our own internal rubric of what's valuable to us. And it would invite the question of how much do you calibrate value into your card? I mean, if I were you, Jay Lee, there's no way that the Cracker Jack Joe Johnson is not number one on my list, but you might have
Joe Johnson. You said Joe Johnson. You meant Joe Jackson.
He was a backup hitter. Yeah.
We were talking about Josh Johnson earlier. Maybe that's why.
But I don't know if that would be the case for you. You might have your O-Pee-Chee Gretzky as your most important card because it means more to you. Like, I don't know. Like, Babe
Ruth 144 is my favorite card right now, followed probably by Jackie still, which was my favorite card before my Babe Ruth. But after that, because it's just I'm all over the place in what I have.
That's tough. It's tough. You have 9 months, 8 months.
9 months to do it. Okay, I'm going to run through some comments, guys. David Chase said, to me, an advanced collector is someone who has steadily evolved across every facet of their journey within the hobby. Steady evolution. I mean, it depends. If you're evolving really slow, you might not be advanced yet, but at least you're working your way towards it. MK, Michael Kadich says, an advanced collector collects in advance. They buy cards in 2026 that will matter in 2036. Well, so MK has an advantage because he is the biggest influencer on Instagram, so he can actually move the market with his posts. He can. He's an influencer. He can move the market, but what he's really described, I think, is a profit sort of thing, or someone a fortune teller. More than it's hard to do that. So I disagree, MK, but I hear what you're saying, and I think there might be a little bit of merit to it. Chad Chipper, what's up, Josh? See you guys in Toronto next month. Go Wings!
Can't wait. I'll ignore the last part, but can't wait to see you, Chad.
Always love seeing Chad. What a great guy. Yankees fan said, I've been at this a long time, yet every one of these SCL shows, I learned something. I guess I am in a state of advancing. Well, that's the thing. We all are. Thank you for that. That's a great comment. That's one of the best feedback that a content creator can receive. And I accept that comment on behalf of myself and all the panelists who join us here on these shows. Flyerhawk says, Jeremy, an advanced collector, loves BGS black labels. He knows I do not. Tony says, I think the better way to rank your top cards is which would be the last ones you would part with if you needed to reduce your collection to a certain amount of cards. People ask this question of me all the time. If you could only keep one card, what would it be? Another question I hate. I don't answer it. It's like, no, if I can only have one card or 3 or 5, I'm done. Take them all. I'm out of the hobby, and I can't. I could not do it. It would, I don't know. That'd be tough. It's like Sophie's Choice sort of thing. Just really, really tough. Rodman, who's here. Rodman, didn't even know you were here, but he says, it's MK's world. We are all just living in it. That's great. Well, as I say regularly, MK is the biggest influencer on Instagram. He is. It's not Gary V. It's not Boston Card Hunter. I don't know who else I could even whoever else. It's not. It's that he is Josh. He's the biggest influencer on Instagram. Absolutely. So, all right, Chris, you've been quiet for a while now. I feel like.
Yeah.
Anything on your mind?
I got distracted because I know Rodman's sitting somewhere with his feet kicked up with a glass cup of scotch and a cigar and a table full of messy cards.
Oh,
just having a good time.
Yeah, he's sitting there with all those messy reds, right? Reds are what's big in soccer.
Also, I've always respected Greg of Midlife Cards' work ethic, as I know we all do. I was actually telling Joe earlier today that he's like the workhorse of the hobby. But you know what made my respect for him skyrocket even further was I was watching a video of his today, and he actually brought out a spreadsheet where he had spreadsheeted columns and columns and columns of information about rows and rows and rows of cards.
You've created a monster. It's your fault, Hoj. It's your fault.
I know the pains of making these spreadsheets, so I know that is a man.
I don't even know who he is anymore. I thought I knew this guy. Now he's like Jeter, like how many this year, that year. It's like I don't know what to make of it.
Couple comments in the chat, and guys, put up your finger if you want to say anything here. But Greg says favorite cards versus top cards are different videos, and I think by top cards he means most expensive. I think, is that what you mean, Greg? I shouldn't put those words in your mouth, but it seems like that's what you're saying, because favorite cards are not completely correlated to value for many people. Hoops Hobby Hangout says to Greg, does top have to mean top monetary value though? Midlife card, Greg, it could be top design, top significance to your collection, etc. Yeah, he says, yeah, no doubt it could be. So it really just comes down to how you want to do it. And I think if you're going to do a top whatever cards in your collection, I would want to know how you ranked it. So just was it what? And the guys who I've watched, like when Greg did his, he said this is by using card ladder value, whatever that means. Is that the card ladder value with the confidence levels, or is it the most recent comp? I don't know which one that is, but do you, Chris, know? Are they using card ladder value, which is the confidence with the 5 different potential confidences? Is that what they're using?
I don't remember. I mean,
I'm not sure.
It's a good question though. But something I was thinking about that so Shane Shoebox Legends did a top 100 countdown very recently, 25 cards at a time, 4 different videos, and he did it in the way that Counselor Adams would have loved, which is that he threw price to the wayside and said maybe price will line up, maybe it won't, but this is my personal preference, and this is the order that I want to rank them in, and it played very, very well. It was perfectly suited to how he collects and the content that he makes. It was really well done. But also Greg's video, Dan's video, Adam 27 guys countdowns, they play very well too. And I think something that works well with using market value or card ladder value, so that sort of idea, last sold, is that it's a sort of concession to the community that says, I want to show off my cards, and I'm not going to try to position them in a way that sort of is out of step with what the community thinks. I'm going to meet the community on the middle ground, and I'm going to present my cards, but I'm going to present it in the way that the market ranks them. And then we can kind of get on the same accord together. So it's not like susceptible to me trying to put forth this idea that really, I have these other great cards, but this one really should be worth more than the others or something like that. So there's always a needle to be threading the needle there is tough, maybe tougher than it seems. And I think I've seen people do it very professionally, very thoughtfully from all the different ways you can do it.
Yeah. That I think I love it. And my mind is racing as I process what you're saying and think about all these approaches to these top ranking videos. And I think so 2 things. If you're going to do your top ranking video the way, who did the 4 videos at 25?
Shane, Shoebox Legend.
Shoebox Legend, Shane. That I would personally find that more interesting. However, you run the risk of being thought of as a pumper. Oh, this is my favorite. Well, why did he put that at number? Is he trying to pump his card? Is that why he pumped? Is that why he put it number 1? Like, that's a risk. But to those people who might say, I say, back off. Like, this is like, I'm going to rank them how I like them. I'm not trying to pump it. It's what I like. But going by value protects you from that. And like you said, Chris, it's maybe more relatable or more consistent with other people's videos who do them the same way, because it's just based on value. And if that value is hopefully somewhat accurate, which we know card ladder value is not because of the confidence levels, and it's not consistent that with the different confidence levels there. I would certainly find your favorites to be more interesting, but then to maybe round it out. Let's see how if is your number 1, where does it rank value wise of your favorites? So having both lenses.
Now everybody got twice the homework assignment.
Yeah. And that is the assignment, right? Yeah.
You would probably learn something in reckoning both, in doing both homework assignments.
No, it's a great idea. It's great if you have sort of both metrics available.
Both of them there. It could just be a separate column. The other thing, if you are ranking your cards by market value, and if that is then somewhat playing into your favorites, which maybe it isn't, I'm just trying to get at, like, I don't want to outsource ranking my cards to what other people like. I want to take that power back and say, no, these are my favorite cards. This one might be worth more than that one, but it doesn't mean it's my. People say to me, I assume, how can your favorite card not be your Cracker Jack Joe Jackson? Well, and you spent, it's by far your most valuable card. How can it not be your favorite? Well, it's just not my favorite card. But on some days it probably is too. It's just these things change. And if you're gonna do a ranking video or rank your cards by your favorites, I don't know, unless you're just so certain in how you like things. I know for me, I would have to lay the disclaimer that I reserve the right to change this order on a dime, and this thing could be flipped upside down depending on what I'm into on that day, what I'm liking, what I'm enjoying, sort of thing. So, okay, we got lots of, what does Hoop say? He says, this is Joey. I wonder which would teach you more as the owner of the cards, ranking by favorites or ranking by market value. I'd lean favorites. I lean favorites too, Joey. I think that would help me. I would learn more about what I like. I don't really care what the market says my cards are worth when it comes to ranking them. I care what my cards are worth. I'm not somebody who doesn't care what my cards are worth. I care what my cards are worth. The ones that are, again, of value, the ones that I care about. So yeah, I'm with Joey on that. I'd lean favorites as well. Okay, who wants to talk about something now? Unless there's more on that. Put up your hand if you got anything.
I mean, I want to out myself. Like, I am so far away from being able to complete either of the homework assignments because my whole collection, it's just like, it's a general, like, I have an idea, but between my Fanatics vault, my safety deposit box, under my bed, it's just, there's no organization. And so I really should do this. So what the takeaway for me is that I need to start getting more organized, and then I can probably start to even have a general sense of what I prefer in each of the two, categories.
Well, categories. That's the other problem with this whole task for someone who collects like I do. When you're in 35 different lanes in the hobby, how do I rank my favorite Timu Solani card, my favorite professional athlete of all time, against my favorite vintage baseball card, against my favorite auto patch, against my favorite, baseball mem card, against my favorite basketball card? How do I, my favorite 90s card, how do I rank those against each other? It's like ranking Babe Ruth against Shohei, or it's like it's so hard to do. They're totally different. So I would need to do several videos by lane. And then if someone challenged me and said, now you got to make a combination, I would probably take the top two from each and see. That exercise might actually help me get to the final product, but it would be a lot of work. It wouldn't just be coming up with my top 25. I'd have to come up with my top 25 times 10 lanes and then distill it from there. Chris?
Yeah, and there's other ways to do it too. That what you just said made me think about how Victor will sometimes show his collection. Victor, the rookie card specialist. So he did a Tim Duncan video a few months ago where he went through his whole Tim Duncan collection and he showed the card. He actually had a camera like facing down. He would show like what the card looked like. He would tell you the grade. He would tell you how many copies exist in the population report for that card in with the grading companies. He would look up the value of the card in that grade, and if there was a higher grade, he would tell you what the value was in the higher grade too. And there was no ranking. He just sort of, or at least I don't think there was. Maybe he did rank them, but you could do it without a ranking. You could just sort of systematically go through each card, and you could touch on value if you wanted to. That can be interesting. You could not touch on it if you didn't want to. You could go into population. You could not. You could discuss the aesthetics of the design. You could talk about the brand. I mean, I think the ranking is just kind of gives it gives like a skeleton to the structure of the show. Like it gives you a way to organize the information, but you don't have to organize it that way. You could just go through the cards.
Yeah, in no specific order. Here's a great comment, guys, to this topic from BW. He says lists based on value would take grading, in my opinion, too much into consideration.
Hmm.
I think we're all nodded. Yeah, that's a good point. And I don't want to buy a card like my Joe Jackson is a 1 or 1.5. I always forget. I don't even know. I guess that's much.
1.5.
Thank you, Joe.
Yes,
It's a 1.5.
2.5 SGC.
It was the 2.5 SGC. That's right. Yeah, I mean, I think that's a great comment that leads me away. But how do you define best? Is your best card your most expensive, or is it your favorite, or is it your favorite without grading coming into, MK would say it's just based on price.
Well,
So,
I mean, we heard from Josh on this, but I'd love to hear more of his list, because if he's got 90 Leaf Thomas out there at the top, there's probably some other ones that will, refresh our memory from our whole hobby journey. And after Josh, I'd love to hear just even any inkling from Hoj about where he would prioritize any of his massive, Jordans or Jokic's. But Josh, do you got another 2 or 3 on your top 10?
Like favorite of all time cards?
Yes.
that you own.
Yeah. 48 Leaf Newhouser is up there. I would say that's 2. 84 Donruss Mattingly is up there. I would say 89 Fleer Ripken with the word on the bat is definitely top 4. And then 5th would be Bill Tosi 35 Chickle. It's the last card in this, one of the last cards in the set.
You like Bill Tosi more than you like your Jordan Essential Credentials?
No, you said no. I like that card. It has a more sentimental value to me though, because of how I got it.
But wait, so the question Jeremy asked you is, do you like that card better than your Jordan Essential Credential? Is that a yes or no?
It's a yes.
It is a yes. Okay.
I like it better. Just
okay.
Then I would say after that is Diamond Dimensions. Then I would say Essential Credential.
Ooh, okay. At least Jordan makes the top 10. I'm messing with you. That's great. But Hoj, how do you even begin to assess? Like, is it the, I mean, I don't even want to put words in your mouth. Can you give us 2 or 3 highlights of if it was just your favorite cards, not based on financial worth, in your, let's say, top 10, top 20, because I know that's a lot of mental math for you. Could you give us a few that would be up there?
I'm very much of the same school of thought as Jeremy on this. I don't have favorites, and I wouldn't even know how to pick them. And I think if maybe one day I'm getting more of a thrill out of looking at this card or this group of cards or this player, but the next month it could be something totally different. The next month after that, it could be something totally different. And there's so many different properties that every card has, its condition is a property of it, and its rarity, and its design aesthetics, and the brand that it comes from, and the lineage that it belongs to, and the photo that it has, and on and on and on. There's just so many different variables that it's like, I wouldn't even know how to synthesize them and make a ranking. So it changes. I don't even know how to do it. And I don't even think that way. It's almost a foreign language to me. I'm very much of the school of thought on Jeremy like that, which then lets me come full circle. If you're like me and Jeremy, then it actually does make a lot of sense to rank by value, because then you don't have to rank at all. Then the market ranks them for you.
Takes the effort out of it. Absolutely. Okay, comments, guys. First of all, this one's for you, Josh. What do you think of the no name on front, Frank Thomas? And I can tell you he loves it. He thinks it's the best card in the hobby.
It's amazing. It's second best card in the hobby, next to 90 Leaf. It is a awesome card. I love error cards in the 90s. I think they're awesome. I think it's a great card.
Keggers says doing an internal rank of your own cards like that would probably show you where you would fall on the hobby spectrum too. I think it would be a part of it. Definitely, it would be a component of it. Tony says if your most valuable card is not your favorite card, maybe you should trade down to a lower condition copy or sell it outright. Perhaps an approach to consolidation process. Great discussion. Good night. The only thing about that is that, well, I guess you could, you know what I was going to say, like if my favorite card is not my Joe Jackson, how do I go lower than a 1.5? Well, I could go to an uglier 1.5 or an uglier 1, but I bought it because it has eye appeal. So that doesn't work for me, but I think the point is taken. Foulball says, has someone made a lowest ranked video? I've never seen it, but
that's a good bit. That'd be a good gimmick. My 10 most hated cards in my collection.
That would be a funny spoof video for sure. Sundin says, grading companies know best. Let's let them decide the best cards for us. Another good spoof. Greg says that is a great comment. I'm not using value anymore. I've evolved. Yeah, that's great, Greg. We've evolved. I think he's being serious here. And I think go ahead, Joe.
No, I don't want to interrupt your thought there. So if
I was kind of done. I think I
just wanted to mention
when I was done.
All of us understand and do not think that Greg is lazy. He is the opposite of lazy. He's industrious and hardworking. So I just want to make sure that's on the record tonight.
Oh, that's certainly on the record. Josh?
Yeah, I wasn't calling anyone lazy. I was saying and everyone just kind of repeated. You actually just repeated what I said 10 minutes earlier.
It's true. It's true.
Just ranking by price as a general proposition takes any other sort of intellectual exercise out of it. So I'm not calling that guy lazy. So sorry if that's how it came off.
No, I hear you, Josh, for sure. He says he is serious about it. Absolutely. I think that is great. Perimeter here says monetary value is what other people think is your best card, not necessarily what I think. Absolutely agree with that. We've expressed that already as well.
Can I just reply to that really briefly? It's a great comments, but I want to amend it slightly. Monetary value is not necessarily what other people think. It might just be what two other people thought. If we're talking about a rare card that, sold maybe once in the last 6 months, there's just, an underbidder and the winning bidder, and they are the only people who set that price, or there's a buyer and a seller who agreed on a fixed price. And so monetary value sometimes is just, it's just two people telling you what your best card is.
Yeah, you're right. Oh, man. Yes, I agree with that comment, Chris, but let's go one more level past it because of the comp economy and the way things work, the hobby says that's what the hobby says hobby says it's worth, right? That's true. You're right, but to become a more advanced collector, you have to understand what Chris just said, and then you can understand that the hobby relying completely on comps is not the best way. It's not the final say, I guess you could say. By the way, Christina does say, I heard Adams called Greg lazy. It's on the record. Christina. Love it. Anyone see my keys? What's up, KK? And it can be two people with very little hobby knowledge, says Phoenix, which is very true, especially in today's market. Hey, I just want to go spend. I just have $500,000 to deploy here tonight on the Fanatics auction or whatever auction. I'm just going to go buy this because other people are bidding on it, right? I'm sure that's happening right now as well. Rodman says, Chris, you are right. My feet are up. Messy cards are on the table, but no cigar whiskey. But I'm wearing a card ladder hoodie. Just by the way, another shout out to Cage. Cage, I know, wears his card ladder hoodie all the time because he says it in his pod. And I also want to thank Cage for one more thing. I said to him, listen, I listen to your podcast when I'm walking, and they're short, so I can listen to, sometimes depending on what else I've got, I'm listening to 2 or 3 of them if I didn't listen to them the night before. I'm kind of binging a couple of episodes of Hobby with Cage. I'm like, when did he record this? So I said to him, hey, would you mind just shouting at the beginning when you're recording your episode so I don't have to look at my phone as I'm outside? So he's like, and as Jeremy Lee, who's out for his walk, wants to know when I'm recording this, Jeremy, it's March the 16th.
But he's gotten lazy and he stopped doing it. He did it like 1 or 2 shows, and then now
he forgot. Yeah. He forgot, but he's brought it back. He forgets sometimes.
It's all love. Cage has been dropping some really good content. I especially liked his one after the big Fanatics premiere. He did a really nice analysis and just sort of like thought experiment afterwards. So good job, Cage.
Good job, Cage. BW says, is Mr. Wonderful an advanced collector? No, absolutely. He's just got a ton of money, but where he's advanced is that he has this magical power of buying a card for 15 million and it's all of a sudden worth 20 million. I mean, that's like witchcraft. He's a witchcraft collector, the way his cards just go up in value so much. Chris wants to know from you, Josh, do you like the 93 finest refractor?
Absolutely. It's the first baseball refractor. It was a groundbreaking card. It's amazing. I love it.
Yeah. Okay, guys. Anyone have anything else, or we're going to wrap this one up? We're Joe?
Well, I mean, now I'm going down the rabbit hole of like what I would actually, what process I would engage in to try to get some list, whatever the list was, and I've developed 4 basic categories. One is purely personal, like cards that just have a purely personal, sentimental value to me. That would be its own list. Then there would be obviously like pure value, like we could all do that. Like you said, that's the easy path. Then there's one that I would call nostalgic, like cards that resonate with my collecting and or sports rooting journey. And I think that's a little bit of what Josh was getting at when he mentioned like the 90 Leaf Thomas, because if you were collecting cards in 1990 and you remember, like, you know, they had those boxes, and I think, you know, it was like it went from, you know, a $2.99 for a pack to $5 for a pack to $10. Before you knew it, was like $30 a pack, $40. And back then that was a lot of money. And you were like hoping to hit that Thomas.
Are you talking about the 90 Leaf?
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember 90 Leaf as kind of being the sequel to 89 Upper Deck. It was the answer to, when it came out, that was the answer to 89 Upper Deck. Remember? It was like, oh, you got 89 Upper Deck, we got 90 Leaf.
And then it got hot.
Even the Griffey from that year was a huge chase back in the day.
Right. And it got hot when Olerud was flirting with 400 in 92.
Sheffield was in there. Yeah, there was. I remember chasing those. Absolutely.
So nostalgic category is going to be different for everybody, because it's probably going to coincide with like when you first, like elements of your own collecting journey. Like, so for me, the mid 70s Oakland A's, those are hugely nostalgic cards for me. And then last but not least, and this is the category that I want to emphasize the most, because I think it would be the one that I would come to, and it's the hybrid category. It's actually calibrating all 3 of those: value, personal connection, and nostalgia, and calibrating that into the hybrid category, which would be incredibly hard to do. Like, that would take me, you know, a multitude of days, hours, and actually touching the cards and sorting them through. And you know, if I could get to like any semblance of a, you know, top 50, it would be agonizing. It would be painful.
That's the word. I would agonize going through the process of ranking my cards by favorite. I could. It would be it would be agonizing. I don't think I could do it. Okay, couple comments here that have come in. Joe P for Hobby President from GC. BW wants to know, what day is the quiz going to be, and is there going to be an essay question on it? Good question. KK says 90 Leaf was how you found out your classmates had rich parents or not.
That's good. That's good.
Funny. Joe is not in Hawaii. He's in Santa Cruz right now. Nick Martell says, tonight we got the 4 horsemen of the hobby providing so much wisdom. Thanks for being here, Mr. Nick Martell. Good to see you. Well said, Joe. Let's ask Johnny 5 to help, says Chris C. And Yankees fan, great show in chat room tonight. Thanks all. Thanks, Yankees fan. Guys, we're gonna wrap up because I go to the bathroom and we're getting Carl from Oz, corny, I know, but to me, favorite cards must look nice to me. For instance, I'm a Yankee fan, and yet I cannot like Barricard. Oh, 1951 Bowman, Carl. How can you not like the 51 Bowman? But what do you, Josh? Okay, I'll show it to you guys.
Carl's right. That card's hideous.
No, it's gorgeous. It's absolutely beautiful. You are objectively wrong, both of you. I'm going to show it to you guys right here. This card is absolutely stunning. Come on, Carl. You must like that card. Tell me you at least like this Barra card. Come on, Carl. Even his 52. I like his 52 as well. Foul Ball says small tests should be called testes. Thank you, Chris C. Anthony, enjoyed the show so much. Where has the night gone? Another great show. Good night. Oh, thank you, Anthony. Appreciate you being here. BW was in Santa Cruz for the World Series earthquake. Not collecting, going to college. Laura, awesome evening as usual. Jeremy, great eye appeal and exceptional value. Thank you, Laura, for being here. Leaf Series 1 and the Series 2, says Rain. Yankees, David Cooey, have fun, set a budget, and don't spend outside your means. Great advice. to end things off. Hobby Champ says that 51 Bowman Barra literally looks like Josh. He must have been airbrushed, said Carl. Hey, it actually does look like you. This is you, Josh. Josh Barra. And he doesn't like, okay, well, now we know how he feels about his card.
Come on, Jared. Come on.
There's a card that looks like Cage, too, from one of those early Bowman or top sets.
Jeremy's the 48 leaf Spawn. We all
Correct.
know that.
Jeremy is a dead ringer for the 48 leaf Warren Spawn. It's so funny.
Yes.
But Cage has a real, I think it's from 50. There's a card in 52 tops that looks just like Cage, too. I got to find it.
I wonder which one that is. Well, I'm just going to see if I can find something to show you guys here. Let me see before we end the show. Just a little treat before we end the show, everybody, and then we are done. So speaking of 48 leaf, there it is. There's the 48 leaf Jeremy Lee, and it has foreign Spawn. How's that? Am I a dead ringer for Spawn right there? I don't know. We'll see.
That's good.
All right, guys, that's it. We are done. Chris, you got a comment?
Joe was trying to snap a quick picture of that.
I needed that. I needed that for posterity. Can you put that back up?
No, but unfortunately, you can go back and rewind later if you want to.
And I finally got YouTube Premium, so anything's possible now.
You're finally about to change. It's YouTube Premium is the best.
I can't believe it. It's like I'm kicking myself. All those moments of like skip.
Oh my God, dude, you're gonna wish you did it 5 years ago. Okay, guys. Thank you, everybody, for joining. This show is available on podcast, Apple, Spotify, wherever you get them. I want to thank all of our partners and sponsors here on SCL. We didn't shout out tonight. We got ComC. We've got Inferno Red Technologies, REA, Rabbit Hole, 90s Auctions, Upper Deck, Slab Sharks, The National, Miller & Miller, Card Ladder. We've got Mint Inc. I'm also going to shout out the other slide. We've got Fanatics. We got Chronosio, Total Sports, Front Row Card Show, CIA, Just Collect, Sport Card Expo, and Mr. Minty. I want to thank all of them for their ongoing support of the show. Thank you, Ron Fig. Thank you, BW. Thank you, Carl from Oz. Appreciate all you guys. Definitely hairbrushed. Definitely hairbrushed. BW, everybody, here we are. For March the 21st, 2026. This episode of Sports Cards Live is now over. And with that, good night, everybody.
Thanks for tuning in and being a part of the Sports Cards Live community. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and most of all, keep collecting. More great content to come. Sports Cards is a lifestyle.